Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids.
Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, the 104th reply to comments video. Can you reply to comments video? Can you believe I've done 104 of these? Well, why do you do these, Ben? What's the point of having a reply to comments video? Well, the reason is because a lot of you leave comments on my videos. Some of them are nice, some of them are nasty. A lot of them are very long and thought out. And I feel obliged to reply and to get into discussions with you and to give you a comprehensive answer to the comprehensive question that you've asked or comment, which is a lot of you put a lot of time and effort into your comments. And also I want to take the piss out the nasty ones, of course. Now, of course, I could simply write underneath, like most people do, write underneath, it's an answer to my comment, but I don't have time to do that. I get too many comments being such a popular channel. So every so often I make these reply to comments videos. This is probably going to be quite a long one, actually, because we're a bit overdue. But you may think to yourself, what's the point of that, Ben? I only want you to reply to my comment. I'm not going to watch a 9-hour video so you can reply to one comment. Well, you don't have to, because you may notice that I will put a text reply to your comment, which contains a timestamp telling you within the nearest hour of the next reply to comments video when I'll be replying to you. Also, let's face it, my reply to comments videos are not 9 hours long anymore. They used to be. I think my record is about 11 hours. That's because I used to do them much less often. Now I do them more often, which means they're much shorter than 9 hours. They usually stop around 3 or 4. Another reason I do these reply to comments videos is I enjoy doing them. And you, the viewers, a lot of you watching, you enjoy them as well. And some of you, I know, watch them all the way through. Yeah. Another reason I think I do it is because of Stefan Molyneux. When he got banned from YouTube, he complained that it's not just the videos he lost, because he has them all backed up on alt tech like I do, but he lost the comments. And this got me thinking, because it's not just the videos, it's the comments underneath. And when you can't preserve the comments underneath the video if a video gets banned. It's gone. They're gone. There's no way of preserving those. You can't back those up on another platform. And he says, well, that's a precious philosophical dialogue has been lost. So that's another reason to do these reply to comments videos, because then they are preserved, aren't they, in this video? As always, over the last few I've done, I think I started about 5 or 6 videos again. I'm doing a separate YouTube and alt tech version of this reply to comments video, because I found that, my alt tech comments are getting a little bit too edgy, and I'm fed up of speaking in code and saying, well, you know what, this, that, and the other, this letter of the alphabet, etc. So I thought I'll do a separate alt tech video with answering my alt tech comments. That will not be uploaded to YouTube. This video, the YouTube version, will be uploaded to alt tech as well, but my alt tech reply to comments will be alt tech exclusives. Okay. Right, well, I've got a bit of an update for you guys. A little bit of people are wondering about the US presidential election that's just gone. Well, I think we know now I found out exactly how it happened, right? Because it was so overwhelming. I thought, wow, some divine intervention must have done this. It must have been something very, very special. Something very powerful, very important, and very enlightened must have intervened from higher dimensions to make this happen. Well, you know what? I was right. Yes. I got a little message from an old friend of mine. Yes, the one and only Charles. Yes, and he's left a little audio just explaining exactly how he did it. So, Charles, take it away.
Well, Ben, it looks like your bloke won. Do you think just because Charles has gone away that he is without influence? No, no, no. As a matter of fact, I was going to have Kamala win it, but then I thought about the look on your face, and I couldn't do it. It broke my heart. So, my Falstaffian friend, are you happy? Oh, and by the way, folks, I call him Falstaff because he's large, he's amiable, and he lives in a world of his own. But every favour has a price, Ben, and some day, and that day may never come, I'm going to call on you to do me a service. But until that day, accept this justice as a gift on this, the day of my daughter's wedding. See you around, Ben. Charles out.
Well, Charles, what can I say? Thank you so much for considering me, and congratulations on your daughter's wedding. Hope she she does someone at the wedding, not rudely, you know what I mean, but you do people, don't you? You do them. I bet she's as tough as you. Bet she's got muscles all over her, and I bet she uses super psychic gangster powers, doesn't she? Yeah. But I wonder what favour he's going to call on me for. Oh dear. Well, I think he's going to let me stew in my own juice and wait and see. But anyway, Charles, that's very, very nice of you. Whatever favour you call on me, it can't be any worse than having to sit through watching Kamala Harris become president. God blimey. Thanks, Charles. Take care of yourself, whichever super psychic, super soldier gangster dimension you're in right now. I'll see you around, mate. Anyway, right, let's get on to the comments. And we have here someone new, Macca the Gypsy. Oh, God, are you going to tarmac my drive? Do you want to take away my scrap metal? No. Oh, right. No, it's not. It's not someone new. He says, I'm back after a car crash. Marley Pumpkin. Right, blimey. I will get all of you after nearly a year in hospital. Oh, blimey. Marley Pumpkin. This is Marley Pumpkin's new channel, Macca the Gypsy. Hey, Marley, sorry to hear you're not well, mate, and you had that accident. I'm glad you're back after the car crash now. I hope you've completely recovered, and all the best to you, mate. All the best. Yeah. Oh, hang on. We got Macca the Gypsy says climate change is real, and I said, yeah, of course, climate change is real. Climate's change, but the question is it because of us pouring out lots of plant food from our industry into the atmosphere, and helping plants to grow, and is some kind of tyrannical world government therefore the only solution? And unfortunately, when you ask around, the answer to both those questions is yes, and that's what I disagree with. Reply to comments. Oh, that was, by the way, those comments were both on QED Conference 2024. David Splendid Isolation says on reply to comments 103 YouTube. Groovy. Thanks, Ben. You're welcome, David. And same video, Neil Peel, Paranormal. It's Friday. It's reply to comments. Popcorn time, everyone. Right, it's Friday again, mate. Yes. I don't always do these on Fridays, but it tends to be the day when I'm sort of like got the weekend ahead of me. So if this video is very long, I can sort of do it a little bit one day and then maybe do the rest the next day. Although I never have a complete day off, I work much less at weekends. I maybe have 2 or 3 jobs rather than the usual 5 or 6. Believe it or not, my hourly, in terms of hours a week, it's an average full-time job I do, about 40 hours. Nicholas Bain says here in reply to comments 103. Hey Ben, thanks for the Dr. Reed reply. I'm convinced it's real. What has Dr. Reed gained from this? Really appreciate all your hard work. Proper soldier. Thanks very much, Nicholas. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it was real. I mean, for the points I made previously when I talked about it, I know most people don't think it's real, and they always go back to Royce Myers' page, which is God knows how old it is now, almost 30 years old. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's real. And here we have, Steve Mumbling. I'm glad you're hanging around, mate. Reply to comments 103. Steve Mumbling says, the sound you played isn't BLC1 either. Hogwash admitted he made a mistake, and that isn't a recording of BLC1. All right, and by Hogwash, I assume you mean Simon Holland. It's interesting, by the way, how everyone's attitude towards him has changed because he's changed his opinion. He used to be a skepper like you, and he's flipped. He's done it. He's done a 180. I mean, he's one of the most radical he's the most radical convert I've come across, actually. Certainly in that direction. I mean, in the opposite direction as people like Brent Lee, but certainly in the direction of skepper to woo-woo, he is the most radical. So they don't sound like the clangers. Oh dear. So well, you see, that I was wishful thinking, I think, Steve. Because the clangers are such sweet, benign creatures, and I thought if the aliens are if the clangers are real aliens, then we don't have to worry about them invading us. They've got to worry about us invading them, I guess. So I mean, and what's more, I've learned more about BLC1 since then. I even left a comment on one of your videos telling you to watch Simon's newest. Now, I'm not going to say too much now unless this comes up in discussion, but I'm going to make a follow-up video to my Signal from Space one, because there's something else has happened, and Dr. Becky is actually completely wrong, and I'm looking forward to going through that with you, which I will do sometime probably next week. Steve continues. This is another example of people with zero understanding of a subject giving opinions on it. Well, I don't know about that, you see, because he is a science writer, and you say here, Hogwash says he makes science films. He doesn't, he makes science fiction films. Well, he makes all kinds of films. He made Smiley's People, which is, I've got a copy of that. No, not Smiley's People. It's another one in the John le Carré series. He made this. This is bloody good. He's not on the cover of his name is in the credits though. If you've not seen this, it's bloody good. Don't bother with the new remake. The original that was from the late 70s. It's an espionage thriller. And with Alec Guinness, put that there. I've got to keep him in line. That's okay. And he did that one. He helped make that in 1977. And as I said, it's much better than the modern remake. So just watch that. Alec Guinness is so cool as the quiet, smiling and gentle kind of cracker. He's an iron fist and a velvet glove. That guy, yeah. He's based on what's the name of the guy in Scarsdale, the MI5 the head of counterintelligence for MI5, the one who interviewed George Blake. He's based on this guy Scarsdale, yeah, former copper. Now then became MI5 cracker. He says, from what I've seen on his channel, he has very little understanding of science, physics, and technology, just like you and the defectives, Ben. All right. So, well, why don't you? If you think he's made a mistake, by all means, make your own video explaining. I'll probably comment on it. I might even do a reply to your video, because I'm about to do a reply to his, and I'll include your reply in the same upload. So to do that, yes, if you think he's wrong. Gin Skim Pivot says here underneath, have you seen this, Steve? Debate, moon landing hoax, McToon versus Marcus Allen podcast. Right, there's no link here, but maybe Gin was worried it might go to the spam folder. I always liberate all the spam before one of these anyway. I haven't seen that yet, but it'd be interesting to watch. If you remember our debate with Blue Earth Thing, and Steve Mumbling says, thanks, mate. Yes, I have. Alan puts forward the same old arguments over and over again, and every one of them has been debunked over and over again. Pathetic. Well, I mean, I think I'll watch it myself, then make my own mind up. Jin says to Steve Mumbling, I think that may be why the Apollo detectives cut it down to about a minute of edits and called it highlights. No. It's about half an hour long, actually. It's half an hour long. I'll just show you. Hang on a sec. I was watching this recently, just actually. Where is it? Here we go. Let's have a look. Where was I watching it? Hang on, where is it? Oh, bloody hell. Here it is. It's one of these. Here, is this the one? Modern Day Debates Review. It's one of these most recent ones on the Apollo detectives. It's not that one, because that's the one. I'm in one of these, and then I don't know what they did with all the rest, but anyway, there you go, mate. That's it's one of those, but it's half an hour. It's actually not. It's not just minutes. I mean, to be honest, it's probably not a good idea to cut things down. I mean, this is when you are in these debates with skeptics. It is probably not a good idea, because people like Jin will kind of pick that up and run with it, and they're tempted to kind of misrepresent. This is why when I did my analysis of Skeptic of the North's conspiracy theory deconversion course, I played the whole thing from beginning to end, and I explained why. Because if I hadn't done that, people like Jin and Steve would have said, you've cut it down to a minute of edits and called it highlights, you know. Jin says, embarrassing. Well, I don't think so, Jin. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but yeah. Steve said, that's hilarious. They're a joke and they know it. Well, I think we're quite funny. We have a sense of humor, but I think we're right. Red Snapper says, he's back. I'd heard you'd passed away. No, I'm very pleased to see that Steve Mumbling is alive and well. Without him, if it weren't for Steve Mumbling, this channel would have passed away, I'm sure. Same video. That's reply to comments 103 YouTube. And Cole Costello says, let's hope for 103 more. Thank you very much, Cole. I'll keep making them as long as it's necessary. As long as I'm able to and it's necessary, I'm going to keep making these videos because the world needs HPANWO. Ian Gosling says on QED Conference 2024, very informative video for me, Ben. Thank you. You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Ian. My initial thoughts, the skeptic scene is very left-wing. It's cult-like. It seems to appeal as an anxiety mitigant for a lot of people. I actually felt quite sad about the whole thing. Cheers. It is quite left-wing. I think I explained in the video how there's, obviously the management there are very sort of, there's a lot of like, DEI things. Like you have the option of sticking your pronouns on your ID booklet, your sort of your name badge and stroke booklet stroke program, which of course there's no way I would do that. No way. If someone had ever asked me what my pronouns are, I'd just say, well, use whichever ones you think suit me best. But it is, although there was a backlash. I mean, the backlash which was part of what's known as the slime pit, which is kind of like an in-joke, led by people like Micah Remedia, so there was a kind of like backlash from the kind of libertarian centre right, who thought the atheist scene was getting too woke. They're particularly targeting people like Atheism Plus and people like that. But generally, yeah, it is a left-wing thing. Reply to comments 103. Lance Corporal, how do you do? I've not seen video replies to comments since the very early days of YouTube. How bizarre. Really? So, Lance, am I the only one who does this? I don't think I am I? There was I think the tinfoil hat lady did some reply to comments videos for a while. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I know I think she may have got the idea from me, but I'm certainly not the only one. But anyway, you can always Google reply to comments and see what you get. By the way, I've met Lance Corporal. He exists. He's a real person. He's a real person. I know because I met him in a pub. Yes, he lives in Oxford. I met up with him. We spent about an hour together having a drink and had a chat. Yeah, he's a good guy. We got on well. I had a bit moment of panic, by the way. I hope Lance doesn't mind me telling this story, and I had to sort of apologise to him a bit because on the morning I was supposed to meet him, I had a bit of a moment of panic because I suddenly realised I'd given him my phone number so he could contact me. He hadn't given me his yet. It's not your fault, Lance. You weren't to know. All right. It's not your fault. It's because of my relationship with trolls and things like that. Because I suddenly thought to myself that Lance might actually not exist, and he might actually be a sock puppet of one of the trolls, and he'd set me up like to have to a meeting where no one would be there. They've done this sort of thing before, by the way. They have done this sort of thing before. But I suddenly realized I've given him my phone number, and I thought, oh my God, I've given one of the trolls my phone number. Oh God, what are they going to do with it? I mean, luckily I didn't have to like go to the bank and cancel everything because I don't use my phone number for logging into things. Otherwise, I've had to call the bank and call the building society and call bloody everything else. And I didn't have to do that. But I did call my my service, my mobile phone service provider, my network, and I explained what happened, and they added they did some security checks on it and things like that, and they said we'll keep an eye on it. I can't remember exactly how they do it, but they said they're going to put extra security measures on my number in case it's going to be on the lookout for illegitimate use. So for about an hour I thought, my God, I've been set up by the trolls, and I fell for it. I walked straight into this trap. But then I looked at Lance's channel, and I thought, it doesn't look like a troll channel. I mean, if you look at it, it's got uploads, it's got favorites, it's got playlists, it's got art, it's got banner, avatar, things like that. The trolls don't normally do that. Troll channels tend to be blank because trolls just set channels up just to have a go at me. So they don't put anything on them. They don't upload anything. They don't favorite anything. They don't put any artwork on their optics on the channel at all. So And then he texted me, and I suddenly realised, thank God, he's real. And I met him, and I realised he wasn't a troll. So it was good to meet you, Lance. Hope to meet you again sometime. And Lance has joined my Discord, so he's been very helpful, actually, because he knows a lot more about Discord than me. Right, 103 again, David Splendid Isolation. It's the first Far Cry game that looks like set on a lush tropical island, as in your image, Far Cry 1. Oh, right, that was a computer game, wasn't it? I can't remember the details, but yeah. Jinskin Pivot says on 103, thanks for the full response, Ben. In other words, IOW means in other words. I see, so it's not the Isle of Wight. Okay, I'll remember that, in other words. I've got to get, I'm not very into the netiquette kind of thing. Maybe I'm too old, I don't know. I'd happily make comments on the on the detectives debate on Apollo, as you suggested, but I'm pretty sure both the ADs and Neil as well blocked and shadowed my comments. I won't labour this here, but there are no unanswered questions about Apollo and no hoax evidence, zero. But group affirmation of personal opinions and a blanket policy of never questioning the veracity of each other's flat assertions. All right, Jin, as you know, I don't agree. I'm not going to push the issue either. But, I have uploaded my own versions of the Apollo Detectives debates. Not they're like the Apollo discussions, because they're, I think, Robert's own work. But I do have copyright on the Apollo Detectives, so I have uploaded them. And you are free to comment on those if you wish. The Crafty Nihilist said on 103, your background is of your background is of your background. It's like the film Inception and is confusing the frauds. Oh dear, I'm sorry. I don't want to confuse you. My background, it's just simply a photo of my studio area, which, as you know, I used to do videos with a camera and tripod on my studio area. And I suddenly realized it's far easier just to do it on like StreamYard and put the background on. But I need a green screen. You need a green screen, Ben. Yes, I mean, it'd be very easy to get one. Actually, I just need basically a green cloth. Yeah, or was it Miles calls it a chroma key? All right. Yeah, so I'm sorry it's confusing you. I'm sorry. I'll do my best to sort of like explain things and wave my hands in the air when they don't disappear. And Crafty says, yeah, you've definitely lost weight, Ben, compared to that clip of you in Contact in the Desert. Oh, well, I've looked at, I can actually see it now when I look at some of my older videos. This detox is having an effect on me, which it's made me feel better in a way. Although I must say, I had this on until just now. My jumper. I've been wearing my jumper indoors, even though I've got the heating on. I can't put the heating too high, otherwise it will waste money. But I've got the heating on at a usual level for this kind of temperature. I've set the thermostat to a reasonable level. I've been putting my jumper on, which I didn't have to do before. I'm feeling the cold more. I really am, because I can actually see and feel I've lost a lot of my body fat. And that fat, I think, is insulation. It actually keeps you warm. And we all know, like whales that swim in the sea, they have this blubber layer to keep them warm. Fat is an insulator, yeah. So, right, white people are applied to Christy Winters, which somehow still hasn't been banned. Melvin Sherman says, for the records right now, Putin just focused on East Europa country. Putin just focus on East Europa country. I think that means he's just focusing on Eastern European countries. Whatever he will attack any of Asian part of the US, whatever he will attack any of Asian part of the USSR. Whatever, I think that means whatever he'll attack, it'll be an Asian part of, well, there's no USSR, the Russian Federation. I don't know what you mean by that. He wouldn't attack his own federation. Is remained unknown. Yes, I do believe Putin wants Soviet Union back, but not communism, socialist, Marxist, or any of that stuff, just the landmark. All right, well, that's not the Soviet Union then, Melvin. I think he does want he essentially wants a powerful Russia surrounded by allies, which is understandable. I mean, people moan at him when the Zelensky regime took power and his predecessors when Yanukovych got poisoned. Yanukovych was a Russian ally, and he got poisoned, and I think he nearly died, but he then went into retirement. But I mean, do you imagine how we would feel in Britain, for example, if if our nearest neighbours, for example, Ireland or France, was taken over by a Zelensky-like character with a lot of hostility towards us? We'd be worried, wouldn't we? We were when Napoleon took power in France. Yeah. So I understand how Putin feels. I mean, if you read his essay about this, he explains exactly why he's doing what he's doing. And have you noticed, I mean, I haven't covered this in detail. I was thinking about doing a live stream, but it's probably only worth a PANWO Voice article. There's been a massive escalation in the last couple of days, and I think this is basically they're trying to basically trash the house for Trump to clean up. They want to leave as much mess as possible for Trump. So I hope that Putin understands that and realizes he's only got to hang in for a couple more, literally less than 2 months now, and he's home and dry, because then Trump will be inaugurated. Melvin continues. It's like if the UK had this communist revolution, and then a year later it went under. Well, that's kind of happened with Starmer, hasn't it? Anyway, that's a kind of satirical joke. And all UK become its own country. Scotland, Wales, or North Ireland just became Ireland. Oh, you're talking about if, in other words, you mean that there'd be like a revival of old Britain before Irish independence? Right. I think is that what you mean? Again, I've got to say your syntax is awful. I mean, this is normal now, Melvin. I mean, I don't want to be too hard on you. I'm guessing you're quite young. This is quite normal now for the youth of today. And this PM who just wants the landmark back, he wants England to become its own island. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yes, he wants England, he wants Britain to become united, yes. I'm actually a unionist too, so not with Ireland necessarily, but with the existing constituent nations of the UK, all 4 of them. No oh, right. Sorry, I misunderstood. I think he means no Scotland or Wales, just England as whole country, like whole UK is just England. Right, you mean that basically nationally there be no independent governments in the separate nations. So in other words, no Holyrood House, no Senedd, no Stormont. Just a singular state ruled from Westminster. Well, I mean, that is actually the way the country was until very recently, less than 30 years ago. The country was exactly that. Yeah. That's what I mean when Putin wants Soviet Union or Tsar Russian. Right. I don't believe Putin. I haven't read his article. It's a long read, but I read it. I don't believe he wants that. In other words, he doesn't want to disband the what's the word? The devolution, that is the devolved governments, if you want to use that word, in the various republics in the federation. He doesn't want that. He's quite happy, for example, for the Tatarstan and all these other places to be what they are. He's quite happy for the Yakut region to have its own state, and they do. There's even a Buddhist state somewhere in the Caucasus. So no, he doesn't want that. I don't think he wants to absorb back countries like Armenia, Ukraine. Contrary to popular belief, he doesn't want to conquer Ukraine. His mission objectives are secure the Donbass, secure the biowarfare labs, and then regime change in Kiev is like a secondary goal. And it's not a military goal. It's just a landmark and also hate NATO thing. It's like Tory that just want the UK back in this alt history verse. He hates NATO. Of course he does. He says NATO is a knife held to the Russian throat. He says this, he actually uses those words. And he's absolutely right, because NATO has done away with the Finlandization. Literally, in the case of the country of Finland, which was always neutral in the Cold War, as kind of demilitarized zone between the two sides. Ukraine was always meant to be a part of that. Now, why does NATO even exist? NATO is a dinosaur. It's a relic of the Cold War. If all I can hope is that Trump basically pulls US out of NATO, then the rest of the Union will collapse. Anyway, Melvin says, and that is the end of my political rant on war. Fair enough, mate. Thanks very much. I think Putin doesn't want a united Russia like the anti-devolutionists want a united Britain. I don't think they do that. I personally wouldn't mind seeing if we had a united Britain, I say this as a Welshman, if we had a united Britain right now, I wouldn't mind, because the devolved government, I mean the Welsh one in particular, is awful, and I've done an entire video on that. It's terrible. It's doing terrible damage to that country. 103, the lights were low. Hi Ben, how you doing, lights? You all right, mate? Right, and we have now lights again. Says 21002. Very good interview by Candace Owens on this with an excellent researcher. Good theory. Right, I think you're talking about Ashton Forbes, aren't you? Right, it's not. Oh yeah, you have a timestamp. Sorry, mate. Here we go. I haven't seen any convincing evidence of that. I do believe Florence. I mean, Florence actually does say that the plane never left the Gulf of... Yes, you're talking about of Thailand. Yeah, you are talking about Ashton Forbes. Yes, it was Ashton. Ashton would. I mean, I think Joe Rogan made a terrible mistake not having Ashton on. He'd have been a great guest he'd have been a great guest for Joe Rogan. He really, really would. But the one he did with Candace was brilliant. Yeah. So I put the volume up a bit too high because I had to replay the Charles interview, or so the Charles audio, because it was too quiet. Right, 103, Dark Corners Beyond says, hey Ben, looking good, mate. I see the detox is working. I've recently lost about a stone myself dieting. Keep up the good work, my friend. Thanks, Dark Corners. I will keep going. I mean, my objective is not to lose weight, but well done for you if you have. Well done for your diet. My objective, the detox is working in the sense that things are going well for Trump and things like that, not rather my own weight. Although I do feel better in some ways having lost this weight. You know. But thanks very much, Dark Corners. Red Snapper, hey, Red Snapper. 11:15. I can't imagine you happy slapping an NHS colleague. That's so 2004. Thanks, mate. Yes, that was the troll. Yes, who I think I've got rid of. Although he'll come back. He and his mates will come back under another identity. But I think they have retreated for now. Red Snapper, is BitChute a hate platform? And there's a timestamp here. Let's just see what you mean. I don't think it is. Let's have a look. No, sorry, Red Snapper, I don't know what you mean, but BitChute is not a hate platform. It's called that by left-wing activists who just think it's Nazis and it's racist and things like that. All it is people who want to say things you're not allowed to say on mainstream social media. I mean, the mainstream social media must expect this. If they're going to shut off avenues to people on their own platforms, and other independent providers are going to come along and scoop up their business. Oh, right, I remember this. Yeah. I remember this, Red Snapper. I agree with Ivan. It bedazzles me that you can't see the you know what question. All right. Perhaps a fear of losing friendship groups or legal consequences. It's completely understandable. Be careful of Kevin McDonald. He's controlled opposition. All right. I don't agree with Ivan for the reason I said, and I don't agree with you. And he's saying it bedazzles me. You can't see the question. It's like saying, well, it bedazzles me, Red Snapper, that you can't see that 2 + 2 = 5. Perhaps it's a fear of losing friendship groups or legal consequences. Well, are you afraid of losing friendships or legal consequences when you utter the truth that 2 + 2 = 5? It's completely understandable. Okay. On that comment, if I was scared of losing friendship groups, why have I done so many things that have caused me to lose friends? Why have I done so many things that have turned so many people to turn against? Why have I stood up? Why have I made a stand on issues of principle in our community, on the drama issues to do with Larry Warren, Miles Johnston, etc., etc.? Why have I not just, oh no, I can't be doing with that. If I make a stand on this principle, I'll lose all these friends. Why did I do that? If I'm scared of losing friends, illegal consequences. I was photographed in the news a little while ago, walking beside Richard D. Hall coming out of court. That's in the newspaper now. People are going to ask who that person is. Do you realize that all the people who've been publicly supporting Richard D. Hall are putting themselves in the firing line, possibly into the firing line as well? Other people are going to follow Richard into court, and those who have been closest to him in this battle are probably going to be among them. I mean, you may say, well, Ben, you haven't harassed anyone. I know, but they'll make up excuses to say I harassed people, like they did to Richard. So why, if I was afraid of legal consequences, why did I do that? As for Kevin McDonald, now I've not actually read his book. He read a book which you can't actually say on YouTube, but it's got the word culture in. I haven't read the book. I've watched a lot of his interviews, and I think he's wrong. Look, Red Snapper, I've done an entire video on this subject. Have you watched it? Have you watched my J word video? It was ironically, it was banned from, even though I was debunking anti-Semitism, it was banned from YouTube for hate speech. But it's all over Alltech. Please do watch it. Please do watch it. And Kevin McDonald's controlled opposition. Are you? Reds, I don't know enough to disagree or agree with that, but it's a very backslapper kind of thing to say. But you may be right. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not a big fan of his. I don't know much about him. 5848. Oh, so I know what this says. I don't have to click the timestamp. I'm sorry. Russia is utterly controlled. No, it's not. No, it's not. Russia is not controlled. I've done several videos explaining why Russia is operating outside the control of the globalists right now. Putin. Look, if Russia was controlled, Putin would not have turned down the World Bank loan that has devastated Ireland and Spain and Greece. He would have accepted it. He wouldn't have joined Joanna Sigurðardóttir of Iceland in turning that down. There wouldn't be so much effort to bring down his country through lies, through manipulation, through military threats, through economic sabotage. That wouldn't be happening if Russia was controlled. I mean, of course, the response I often get from that is people, well, you see, all that, the reason it looks like Russia is not controlled is because that's a deeper, more subtle and more crafty level of the control. And then we're going down that backslapper rabbit hole, aren't we? I've got a feeling you're going to be one of these people who, if in the post-Illuminati world, should we see it? And I hope we do. We could be decades into it, and you'll still be peeping around corners, going, "My goodness, aren't they crafty? The Illuminati have actually led us to believe that the New World Order is over, and goodness me, no one else can see it except me and my friends. Let me slap your back, and you can slap mine. We're so superior." Red Snapper, short reply to comments sound a little low. All right. Well, the reason the reply was short was because I didn't. Again, it's judging the number of comments, not just the number of comments, but the amount of time it takes to reply to the comments. Now Steve is back and Ginskin Pivot. These videos will probably be longer. I've actually been almost a month since the last one now because things getting in the way. So this is probably going to be a long one. As I said, it may take me more than a day to do. But sound low. Well, I think I've checked the sound levels. I mean, what I recommend you do. I mean, I've checked the sound levels before I started, and they're all right. I checked them on control panel. I'll just double check them now. All right, guys. I just paused for a moment just to check the sound levels, and I find they're actually fine. So hopefully everything will be all right now. I was a bit worried because on my control panel it said that the gain on the microphone was only 8%. So I thought, well, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, yeah, everything's okay now. I will check. I'm actually going to start maybe doing these in shorter segments, maybe half-hour segments, because I did a test recording to ascertain the levels, just to back myself up what I'd already found out, and it didn't process. So this is obviously a fault with StreamYard. So if it's going to, because I can't record on StreamYard with the free account, and I'm not paying for them because their actual paid account is actually not very good from what I've heard. So yeah, it's a bit odd. If the worst comes to worst, I can always redo it with OBS. I will switch to OBS if this becomes a regular thing, but then the most I'll have to revise is maybe half an hour. Reply to comments 99, Steve. Hang on, I've got to get the tag back. Where is it? Here we go. That's right, the timestamp tag. There we go. Red Snapper says here on reply to comments 99. He's going through all my old ones, is Red Snapper. 316. Poor Steve mumbling. I hope nothing has happened. All right, I know what this is about. No, what happened was he went quiet for a while, and I was worried about him. Because he didn't upload for a while and things like that, and then he stopped. He chose to stop commenting on my channel because he thought there was no point. But he started again, which is good. I do. He has uploaded again, and he's been uploading quite a lot. And I do watch his material. Not every single upload, but I do watch ones that look interesting. Red Snapper 2022. Right, Shill Assange. I know what this is about. Shill Assange released the BNP party membership list in 2009. He was a shill for the establishment. you know, you Red Snapper, you really are a backslapper, aren't you? You are a certified 100% member of the Sports and Social Club backslapper. I don't agree with him doing that. I really don't. I think he fell in with the wrong crowd. He became very influenced by several organizations that were supporting him, ostensibly supporting him on the left-wing side of politics. And I think he made a bad decision, and he shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have used WikiLeaks for that. But a shill for the establishment, you see, you've got to ask yourself, I mean, Red Snapper, I mean, if that makes someone a shill, if someone makes a mistake, even when they're a very bad mistake, or if someone says something you don't agree with, it doesn't necessarily mean they're working for the establishment. It may mean they're just mortal humans and they have failings. I've been accused of that often enough, I'll tell you. Red Snapper says on 99 again, he's good. I'm glad you're going through all my old videos. 14704. Okay, obviously, I would not incite any criminal activity on your channel, but it is true it was the international you-know-what operating in Paris, Washington, and London that forced the war on Germany. All right. Just go through, what was this again? Hang on. I just click the timestamp because I just want to make sure I know what this is. Instigating Jays who pitted one side against another. And he went on to, right, okay, it wasn't Jays. All right, it wasn't. You know, you got to realize that. I mean, all I can do is refer you to my Jay video. Have you watched it? Just or comment on it. Tell me where. If I've made a mistake, tell me. All right. Oh, here we are. Red Snapper says here. You're next. What's this? All right. So that's the end. That's the end of this video. Yeah. This is going to be the shortest comments reply video. And he says your next one was shorter. It was, yes. I think I've got them down. You know, the reason it got shorter, Red Snapper, was because I started splitting them into YouTube and Alt Tech. I mean, if you put the two together, it's probably a little bit longer than 1 hour 52. It was. But that was, yeah, reply to comments 99 was a very short one. It was a very short one. But this one's going to be longer. I'm not even a quarter of the way through yet, and I'm on the first hour. I might not be able to do them all today, actually, because I need to start pacing myself a bit more. Ravenhill, the governor, 1968. Hey, Ravenhill, nice new name. Every time you come back, you have a new name. Hi, Ben. I just wondered, do you ever plan to emigrate from the UK? Some I speak to think Britain is a dystopia now, and think white British are leaving, like the white flight. Is that true? I just wondered, will you plan to leave, or will you stay in Britain till the end? Thanks, Ben. Regards. I will do what is safe for myself and for my child, who's no longer a child. She's an adult. But I will not leave. I would not go anywhere without her. I would stay and protect her if necessary, whatever the circumstances. If she agrees to leave as well, it's basically she and I are she's the only person I'm really responsible for. I don't have a partner. I did have, but she left me she traded me in for an Egyptian con man, so I don't have a partner. But I mean, I think now is not the time. I don't think it's beyond hope now. But there could be a time when I might have to. There could be a time. If I was Jewish in Nazi Germany, you know, you could say, well, let's stick this out, shall we, and see if things improve. And I'm sure some of them did that for a while. But then you might think, well, I think if we stay here and try and improve things, when things are going to get so bad for us that we'll be in danger. And after Kristallnacht and things like that, you may have thought, well, maybe we just better get out, see if is anyone offering us political asylum. I believe that Russia will. I think Russia will offer white Europeans political asylum at some point if things get much worse. In which case, I will go to Russia. This is why I've been trying to learn Russian. That's the only phrase I can sort of say. It means "Where's my bike?" But yeah, I would leave with my loved ones if I had to, if they wanted to as well. Right, Tessa1111 says on Halloween 2024, the Alex versus the Alex versus Dark Mage novels have a great monkey paw story. Scary. The paw picks the vulnerable victim, grants wishes, but then gets rid of that person. Alex versus. Let's just Google it. I've not heard of that, Tessa. I've not heard of it. Let's have a look. Alex versus book series, right? Oh, there are some things. The Alex versus book series. There are 11 of them here. A sequence of urban fantasy novels published between 2012 and 2024 follows the story of Alex Versus, a mage with a dark past who runs a magic shop in the Camden Town district of London. All right. Oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, Tessa, I mean, that sounds quite good. I think I know who you are, so I know that you have interests in this area. So, yeah, if I can possibly find any time to, because I've got to get through the books I've read already. Lance Corporal said, I sent you an email about that pint, mate. Yes, I got it. And we met up, didn't we? Hugo Rune. Hi, Ben. Hi, all. How you doing, Hugo, mate? How's things? These are on Halloween 2024. Angela Kenyon said, I've never liked Halloween research. Right. Well, I did address some of the points that some critics of Halloween make, like, oh, it's all consumerist or it's the devil. I don't agree with those objections, but it may be just your opinion. I think, Angela, I know you have particular religious views, if you're the person I remember you as, and so you may not like Halloween. I personally don't agree with your religious opinions, and so I don't agree with this. One Oprah, reply to comments 101. Red Snapper, I barely cry emoji. Make the comments anymore. What's the point? Half the time they don't appear. That, unfortunately, is not my... That's not my fault. I don't know. I mean, I've got the spam settings on the lowest levels possible. But a lot of people complain about this. They say, Ben, my comments still don't appear on your channel. What's going on? And the answer is, I don't know. I've reported it to YouTube technical support. Other people make this complaint as well of their channels. I have found my comments disappearing when I post them on other people's. What I recommend doing, Red Snapper, put them in a little notebook or Word folder, in a Word file first. Just write them out on your own, make a record of them, and then cut and paste them in on YouTube. Don't just write them into YouTube. And then if they don't appear, you can always post them again. That's what I recommend. 3907 in reply to comments 101. Lol, levitating. Oops. Let's have a look. The first couple of seconds of the video. Oh, it does, doesn't it? Look. yeah. It does, look. Yeah. You can't actually, because of the shadows. It's an optical illusion. It does, yeah. It's an optical illusion, Red Snapper. It does. It kind of looks almost like I'm floating in the air. Actually, some early magicians' tricks use that. It's just, that sort of thing. Right, here we are. Red Snapper's put another timestamp on 101. You really are going through my stuff with detail, and I appreciate that, mate. I do. When you adjust for these 5 days, the date changes from 2012 to 2046. Oh my goodness me! We have another end date coming up. All right. Yeah, exactly. Well, you think it's going to be the end? Then I don't. We'll find out. I mean, it's a long way away. Will we live that long? I mean, how old will I be in 2046? I won't tell you, but I won't be young. Some of the younger people may be sort of like more. You may be sort of like able to see it more than I do. I might go on totally Joe Biden by then. Anyway, 102. I personally don't think. I think the end. I think if there's an apocalypse or an end times, I think we're going through it now. It's a process, not a date. And watch my apocalypse video, Red Snapper. Okay, we have now another timestamp on 102. Believe whatever you like. I don't care. All right. I don't have to justify myself to you or prove myself to you for a 12-year-old issue that led to me the end of my hospital portering career. Oh, right. Yes, that's the trolls. Don't worry, that's the trolls. Red Snapper says, in the event disclosure happens and you are proved correct and cleared, would you ever return to portering? Good question. Now, firstly, that might not be enough to get me exonerated, because the charges they actually laid against me were like excuse charges, like they did to Richard D. Hall. Lots of parallels actually between Richard's experience and mine, which is very interesting, which I do cover in the articles I wrote about it. Would I ever? Not unless the service improved an awful lot. For somebody of my advanced years, I don't want to sound like an old git, but it's physically demanding for a start. It's something, I mean, and the fact of the matter is, all of us, as we get into middle age, we find physical demanding stuff more difficult. One of the first changes that happens in your body as you get older is your legs, basically. your hips and knees. Those are the first things that actually change because they start to wear a little bit. And so the answer is I don't know. Unless it improved in the post-Illuminati world, what would hospital portering be like? I don't know. I mean, it's something I might consider. I don't know. But it's a good question. I'd have to exonerate myself completely, though, of everything. And in other words, the people who made up the fake charges against me would have to be exposed, which may happen. But good question, mate. Thank you. Dark Corners Beyond says on reply to comments 103. Hi, Ben. I've just found out from my daughter that her school is pushing the anti-Trump agenda. One teacher in particular has been telling the students that Trump is a racist and wears a Kamala 2024 t-shirt to class, in British schools no less. I've written a complaint to the school's board of directors, as I expect all teachers to keep their personal political views out of my daughter's mind, and I gave her a true education on Trump at home, and now she knows both sides of the story, not a single-minded left-wing ideology they're trying to push in school. Well done, Dark Corners. Well done. Well done. That let me know how that gets on. I mean, email me about it and let me know how you get on. You know, my email's on the blog, bennyj74@gmx.co.uk, but it's on the HPANWO TV blog. This is happening more and more and more. And what's more, what's on top of that, you'll find that most parents don't really take much interest in this. They don't care. In fact, there's even instances of teachers telling children not to reveal things to their parents. This is mental child abuse. This is why I made such a fuss when the school tried to test fingerprints when she was a little kid. Yeah, all this sort of thing has to be nipped in the bud. It has to be stopped, and I think only aware parents can do that. I mean, really, all you need, you don't need to take the child out of school. I mean, I know some people say, well, I'll take them home and homeschool them. That's an option, but really, so long as they hear the other side of the story, they make up their own minds. Children are natural logicians, and they will make up their minds based on the information they get. If they're getting the other side from their parents, who they of course respect and whose opinions they respect, they'll understand. Well done, Dark Corners. Let me know how you get on. Red Snapper says here on 102 YouTube. 49:31, melatonin made me feel a bit hungover in the morning. Try it on a day you're not doing much the next day. Right, yeah, this. All right, okay. Have you considered taking melatonin to help you get to sleep? Right, yeah. It's actually a very powerful sedative, basically, because it's a natural sedative from your body. And if you take it at the wrong time of day, it can actually make your body will think it's the middle of the night. So yeah, if you've got to be careful with how you use it, of course, yeah. Red Snapper says also here, do you subscribe to the 40 Times? And if so, for how long? And do you recommend it? The answer to the question is yes. I subbed years and years ago and then stopped. I came back about 2 years ago. And yes, I do recommend it. I do. It's very, very good indeed. I often take it with me when I go off on holidays and things like that. So yeah, I do recommend it. To be honest, actually, I've got a friend who gives me their hand-me-downs, which I'm very grateful for, because they don't keep them. So they say, well, Ben, you can have my hand-me-downs if you like. So that's great. Dark Corners Beyond says, great to see you back, Steve Mumbling. You know what? I don't know if Steve believes me, but I missed him. I really, really missed him. And as Dark Corners says here, great to see you back, Steve Mumbling. Your presence was as sorely missed as is Ben's flawless impersonation. They do say imitation is the most severe form of flattery. Yeah. Red Snapper says here, Alt Tech exclusive. All right, yes, this is my notice of Alt Tech exclusive, a new way forward. Yes, I put up an Alt Tech exclusive because we have to beat the racist Trump, and we have to. I did a video about the racist Trump and the fascist and misogynist Trump and how Kamala Harris would be so wonderful. Yeah, all my notice of Alt Tech exclusives are kind of like wink, nudge, nudge, wink, wink things, sarcastic. Yeah. US election 2024 live stream. What's this? Pios Pisspot. That's his name. So I'm not swearing. That's just his name. Pios Pisspot. Any thoughts on Bill Gates going to court in Holland? Oh right. Oh yeah. I should look into this some more. Yeah. That's right. He's going. Let's have a look. I just saw. Right. All right, here we go. Fact check. Snopes. Bill Gates was not indicted in the Netherlands. Oh, right. Oh, dear. I see. Well, do we believe Snopes, ladies and gents? Or the thing is, Snopes itself has been fact checked. Snopes has been essentially used to promote like skeptical versions of things which aren't true. So, I mean, I don't know what will happen here. It could be it's being held in camera. They may have announced it and then decided to hold it like in camera, so it's all secret. We all know why Bill Gates would end up in court, and it's something I can't talk about on YouTube, but it involves side effects and deaths and injuries as a result of a particular medical treatment, in which case, what can I say except throw away the key? Right, Chris Bird says on the same video, US election live stream 2024. Hiya, Ben. I think I'm a bit late on this one. Not to worry, mate. I mean, I always keep my recordings of, I keep the recordings of all my live streams, so people can always watch them later if they like. Jack Parker says on the same video, Trump's bad decisions was ignoring the script they gave him to say to the people. That's not a bad decision, Jack. Anyway, he carries on. But instead saying that he loved them and they were patriots, and that now we see what happens when an election was, you know what, on January the 6th, I can't say it on YouTube. Was that a mistake of statement? What's the lady that was climbing into the chambers hoisting a backpack in one hand, possibly with improvised explosives, and shot to death a victim? Okay. You mean, all right, was it a mistake? One of his bad decisions was not to pardon those people. Now, I don't know if it's possible for him to do so. I know Trump cannot pardon certain people. You say that Trump can just issue a pardon to anyone. He can't. If you are, I think it's possible that they were convicted in a court under the DC system, which is not a federal court. I mean, even though DC is District of Columbia, it does have like a non-federal court, and it's possible that they were convicted in that court, in which case Trump can't pardon them. Trump can't pardon you if you're convicted in a state court, and you know, most criminal activity is handled by state courts in the US. So each of the 50 states has its own court and judiciary, and they handle 99% of the criminal activity. So Trump can't pardon any of those people either. I don't know all the details here. I wish he had pardoned, you know, the shaman, Jacob Chansley, the 17th letter shaman, and all those other people, because they did nothing wrong. The lady hoisting a backpack. Now, her name was Ashley Babbitt, and she was only 32. I don't believe it was shooting her was legitimate. She was unarmed. If people want to bring bombs into things, they generally don't like have them in their backpack like that. I could talk an awful lot about that, but that was a horrific tragedy and a horrific crime. I don't know what happened to the security guard who shot her. I don't know, but she was shot in the neck and died on the scene. Yeah, so those are bad decisions. Yeah. If he made them, he's not perfect, Trump. I think he may have, from what I've seen just from his cabinet picks, I think he may have learned some lessons. Jack Parker says here on the same video, this is about to go off now. Okay, I've started, so I'll finish, as Magnus Magnusson said on Mastermind. Is clarity of thought a gift or curse that we all have regardless? I think it's a gift. I don't believe in the noble myth. I don't go along with the cipher argument in the Matrix. You know, ignorance is bliss. I don't go along with that. I think knowing what is true, regardless of what it's like, is, I think, essential. If you willingly put yourself into delusion, like Cipher wanted to, that will backfire on you in some way or another. Anyway, that's the end of the first hour, guys. All right, guys and gals, hour number 2. And we have Jack Parker saying here, there could be a totally unrelated nightmare pending. The mail-in ballot boxes in Oregon and Washington that were set on fire with incendiary devices. Notes saying save Palestine. Is it possible there will be harassment at the polls on voting day? More incendiary devices for mailboxes, maybe shots fired, changing the whole plan of what goes on with the country, morphing into possible martial law. Jack, obviously, you made this comment 2 weeks ago, and then subsequent events have said no. However, that was a concern of mine. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly what lengths the Dems would go to gain victory. I was quite surprised, actually, that there hasn't been more of a backlash yet. This doesn't mean they haven't got something planned. I think that what's happening in Russia at the moment may be a part of that, but still, yeah, it's perfectly possible. Yeah. And Jack says here, I suggest volunteers watch the mail-in ballot boxes. Also monitor the polls with lots of camera angles. Yeah, you need total and utter openness and transparency. I did this, and this is why when they were counting the Brexit vote, I went along to the town hall and watched them for a while. Jack said, how did Boris Johnson do trying to parrot Donald Trump? Very badly, Jack. He failed at not the first hurdle, but he lacked the he lacked the courage and the maturity and the understanding to be the British Trump, and he allowed himself to be co-opted, because he basically didn't realize, he underestimated the enemy. He thought that he could get away with abusing his position like all they do, and thinking they would play fair and say, okay, Boris, you're one of us. I know you disagree with us, but you're one of us. So we'll treat you with the same rules as we do the others. Of course, we all know Justin Trudeau didn't sing carols on Skype at Christmas with his grandmother. Okay, we know that. We know very well that what's that mini-me of his in France? Emmanuel Macron. We know that Emmanuel Macron didn't hug his wife kiss his wife through a window. We all know that. And Boris probably thought that and said, well, I can abuse my privilege too. I can abuse my position and get away with it. And of course, the moment he did it, they thought, right, here's our opportunity to get rid of him. Let's expose him. So yeah, no, I'm off the Boris train. As you know from videos I've made, if you watch them, I've explained how Boris has failed, and he's got no one to blame but himself, and it's very sad and very annoying. Jack says here on the same video, Boris Johnson, for the sake of anything, trying to be a rebel, an expedient goal based on an impression of supposed free thinking. The thing, trying to be a rebel. He did try. I mean, he got us Brexit, you see. I mean, he was a rebel for a while, but then they wanted a way of getting rid of him, and he made it easy for them. He left the drawbridge down and the portcullis raised. Jack Parker, Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, method actors. Well, as politicians, they all have to act to a certain extent. Trump is better at it, much better at it, and Trump is much more worldly wise and understands the dangers he's up against. Jack says here, I don't know fully about the ethos of Boris Johnson, but I've been thoroughly acquainted by osmosis with the ethos of Donald Trump. Right, osmosis is where you have something like a barrier, and some parts can go through and not others. So you can mix a liquid up and some molecules will pass through and not others. So I'm not sure what you mean about the osmosis with the ethos of Donald Trump. As for the ethos of Boris Johnson, I don't know. I mean, I think he meant to do well. I think he loves his country, and he tried to do well. But I think he misunderstood the dark forces running this country and how they got rid of him so easily, because they just laid out a trap and he walked into it. So his ethos might be right, but his intelligence and his obviously his intelligence and his ability to see, his wisdom is very, very low, which is a shame. Jack Parker again says, we extrapolate simple answers and conclusions as we try to pigeonhole politicians into any discernible direction other than expediency. Only that's the disillusioned utopic dream that so many find ourselves in. Okay, we extrapolate simple answers and conclusions. We try to pigeonhole politicians into any other than expediency. Expediency being like convenience. What does expediency actually mean? Let me get the definition, because I keep using this word quite a lot to sound cool. Let's have a look. A meaning: the quality of being convenient and practical despite being improper or immoral. Right. In other words, realpolitik. Yeah, you want politicians to be principled and brave. Yes. But I don't, I think I've got good reasons to think that Trump is not like that. Yeah, I have good reasons to think that about Trump. And he carries on. Jack says, that's the disillusioned utopic dream. I don't think it's disillusioned, Jack. And I think, time will tell. Time will tell. Jack continues on another comment. Jack tends to do this. He writes lots and lots of comments. He writes what would probably most people would put down as one long comment. He puts them into lots of separate ones, which is fine. That's just his style. I don't mind. But it's usually on this video, US election 2024 live stream. We really do have to watch every single politician. That includes Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, or whoever else attempts to stand out as an exception. I agree. We shouldn't assume anything. There's rumors going around that he was going to release the Kennedy files last time and like chickened out of it. I mean, this is according to what's his name? That guy, the journalist guy. I've forgotten his name now. What's happening? What's happening now? Oh dear. I had a massive screen saying "Do more with Windows 11." It covered everything. What's the name of the guy? He was a journalist, and then he said that he had a conversation with Trump, and Trump said, "I want to release the JFK files, but they threatened me," or something like that. Anyway, Jack Parker says, optics on Marjorie Taylor Greene, bordering on criminal as she yells through doors in mail slots at people, calling them out for what to pump iron with her. After she told Emily Maitlis to fuck off, I thought, brilliant. But I mean, the other things she said sound good too. I mean, she's a rather undisciplined and lacks self-control, but she is sincere. And I don't know what you mean by criminal. I mean, she's not been arrested at all. Jack says on the same video, conspiratorially aware, never too conspiratorial to stop voting, sounds more like, forgive me, a rationale for functionally sociopathic behavior. No, it's not. Well, some people might use it that way, but that's not what I mean when I say conspiratorially aware. And never too conspiratorial to stop voting. Well, I did for a while before I realized that it was actually worthwhile voting now, because things have changed, Jack. Things have changed. The deep state has lost control with some of the political structures of this world. So, yeah, it's worth voting now. It wasn't before. In fact, I actually said in the last general election here in the UK that I wouldn't vote. I voted in the one before. I voted for Boris Johnson. I said unless you had a reform candidate, it probably wasn't worth voting. I ended up voting for the Independent Oxford Alliance, but only just. But I don't think I'm functionally sociopathic at all. And if I was, I wouldn't make a rationale for it. Lance Corporal says, hopefully we'll meet soon and speak more candidly. Well, we did, didn't we, Lance? Yeah, we did. Right, US election 2024 live stream. We have here David Splendid Isolation, who says, before he was subdued by several people pinning him and his arm down over a table, still pulling the trigger of an empty gun. Oh, right. Sirhan emptied his pistol and hit two people, one of them Paul Schrade, in the forehead. He survived, but for the rest of his life, he helped to campaign for Sirhan's release because he saw Sirhan shoot him, but he definitely didn't shoot RFK. The actual shooter of RFK was Thane Eugene Caesar, who was a last-minute irregular bodyguard of the Kennedys for that evening. RFK grabbed Caesar's clip on tie as he turned and fell, and still had it in his hand as he was dying from a shot to the rear of his head at point-blank range. LAPD bodged and covered up the elements of the case, and the court case was fundamentally flawed. The rest is history. Yeah, it's pretty clear, like, if this person was just added at the last minute to Kennedy's bodyguard. I mean, if any last minute weird people come into Trump's bodyguard, he should be concerned too. And hopefully he's actually a good friend of RFK Jr. So, he should say, look, this happened to my dad because he didn't take this precaution, Donald. You need to take that precaution. So yeah, absolutely. Same video, Mac of the Gypsy. Ben, this isn't Marley Pumpkin. Well, I thought you were Mac of the Gypsy. What? I thought you were. You said you were. Same video, Brett Riverboat. Hi, Brett. Not seen you for a while. I just can't see Trump winning. They'll be doing everything for this not to happen. Brett, I mean, obviously, this was 2 weeks ago. You posted that, and of course, you've been proved wrong. And, so have I. I was kind of like, I really did think there'd be some more weird things going on. I didn't think it would be this simple. I mean, Jordan Sather did a video saying it's too easy. There must be something else going on. They wouldn't let us win this easy. Larry Warren in Rendlesham Forest 2017, a nice old one here. Mark Smith says, oh no, this is Curtis the Auditor, isn't it? Oh, this is Curtis the Auditor. I don't know Curtis the Auditor. I do watch some auditors. I think they're quite entertaining. EA Audits, of course, is a regular. He's a collaborator of mine. I've not done audits with him, but I've done interviews with him. But yeah, I don't know who you mean, I'm afraid. Right, Tor Engen says on QED Conference 2024. Yes, one can have a problem to differ between red and white wine. Still, many white wines are produced with red grapes, since the colour is only from the skin, and some wine is just coloured like some rosé wine. About tasting it, what you are looking for. About taste is what you're looking for. So it's not unusually the price, but how it is produced to get the wanted flavour. All right, I didn't know that. You must be French, Tor. Related to instrument, well, I'm not familiar with the violin, but if you compare it with guitars, there's a quality difference. Yeah, you only get from an expensive one. Often cheaper is more harder to play on, and also often not well tuned to the frets. Still fretless, like violin, need the player to memorize where the tone resides. All right, I mean, some of the older ones like Stradivarius are supposed to be particularly high quality, and the sound is not normally different. Still, I saw one test where one expensive was tuned incorrectly, cheaper one well tuned. One brother had 7 different Fender Strat versions and asked in one guitar forum about which was the most expensive one. None replied. Still, I managed to pick the second expensive and one made in France. I didn't quite understand the last bit. One guitar about which was the most expensive one. None replied. The second expensive one made in France. Well, funnily enough, as an aside, I didn't quite understand your point, Tor. I'm sorry, and I can't keep rereading it too often. But people accuse Larry Warren of trading a fake guitar played by Stevie Ray Vaughan, which was not true. It was actually played by him and signed by him. Neil Peel Paranormal Peep Show. Hey, how you doing, mates? Amazon Prime is the platform that produced the Lord of Rings TV series, The Rings of Power. God, awful insults to the original story and Peter Jackson films. Yes, watching the trailer was enough for me, and I thought, I'm boycotting this. That's on US election 2024 part 1. Leave my rights alone, said Trump will win. The computers are fixed big time. Watch Albert Pike line, disillusioned with Christianity. Trump will take America into hell. Well, Trump did win, but he's going to take America into heaven, not hell. Leave my rights alone. The Albert Pike thing, there's nothing in Albert Pike about Trump. Funny enough, there's a Hopi prophecy, which talks about the man with the red hat, which is interesting. Mr. Opaque Lens, how you doing, Niall? Oh, he's commenting. That's great. US election part 2. I often comment on his channel. It's great to hear you comment on mine. It's weird being in the Philippines because we're between 12 and 16 hours ahead of the USA here. That means I'll have to crash out and wait until November the 6th until I find what's going on in the USA. I wouldn't have been past the demo rats the election, but if Trump wins, it'll be worth to see David Lammy's reaction. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, definitely. In fact, you may have seen Kemi Badenoch actually say to him, will the Foreign Secretary please apologise to President Trump because he said he was a KKK member, racist and things like this. He was tweeting all this before he was Foreign Secretary. Now he's representing on the country on the world stage. He sent, you can almost see like the angry tears meme with the smiling mask. He sent congratulations to President Trump on his victory. You can almost see grit in his teeth as he wrote that. Yeah, oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious to see that, to see Lammy's reaction. It really is. Trump derangement syndrome part 2. Okay, part 2 of my US election here. But thanks, Niall. Thank you very much for that. Jeffrey Hindley says here, for 3 months, Elon Musk had a. God, why do you have to put gaps within a word? There's 3 months without an O. Elon Musk had a Baphomet outfit as his thumbnail picture on Twitter. He wants to put an implant in all our brains. Is he a good guy? Jeffrey, I'm not a backslapper, okay? He's become a good guy now. Who knows what his plans are? I know if he tries to do that, I'll obviously change my mind about him. All right, Blogger says on Notice of Alt Tech exclusive, a new way forward. Childless cat ladies, FTW. What does FTW stand for? I must get this. Hang on. FTW meaning, right. For the win. All right, yes. Right. I should keep that. I should keep that site open. Yeah. Election part 2. Nothing as it seems. We changed our clocks back on Sunday, Ben. PST. That's 8 hours behind you again. Yeah. It was a bit confusing. I actually missed half of the Apollo discussions because I forgot about the time change. Yeah. Nothing as it seems says in part 1 of the elections. The most mispronounced state is Nevada. Try this, Wisconsin. Oh, not Wisconsin. Oh, no. When I'm drunk, I can't say that, as Crafty Nihilist knows. Reply to comments 103 YouTube. A live blocking. What are Team Droik, says Red Snapper. All right. Team Droik, I explained in the video actually who they are. You may have missed it. They're a group of trolls who've been chasing me around the internet for over 25 years. Sounds extraordinary, doesn't it? But they have. I blocked that. Of course, they'll come back with a new account, but I've managed to block that one. I really have to actually say a big thank you to the people who stood up for me over this issue. That is David Splendid Isolation, Lance Corporal, and Mac City for standing up for me. So, yeah, against this Timothy Jeffers account, which was actually not. It was just one of the Team Droid ones. Part 2, that's of US election. Nothing as it seems says, Intel lady mocking Rachel Maddow. Oh, I'll watch that later. She's hilarious. Yeah, she's absolutely hilarious. 103. Red Snapper. Oh, God. Sickening shill Shrimpton. It's not the Germans. You are a massive backslapper. You know that? You are a massive, massive backslapper. Who's not a shill? I always ask backslappers this. All right, then. You think everyone's a shill and everyone's an insider, and you and your fellow backslappers are the only people who can see it. All right, in your view, who is not a shill, Red Snapper? Tell me. I think I did ask you this question on Twitter, actually. Red Snapper, will you ever tolerate Fed posting on your channel? No. Because it's just saying, well, it's like, will you ever tolerate people coming in and planting bombs in your house? That's the point. It's the social media equivalent of that. Part 2, David Splendid Isolations. It's said that the Catholics of the Middle Ages would cross the fingers of the dead to make the sign of the cross in order to prevent them becoming revenants, which is said when where the cross fingers come from. Oh, right, I didn't know that. Revenants are a kind of ghost. Blimey, David, I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. You learn something every day. And Neil Peel says, interesting. Yes, thanks for the information, David. Part 2, Neil Peel. Ben, think you might need a sturdy bookshelf to accommodate all your great books and DVDs? Yes, I need some more space. We'll need to read some of these buggers first, don't I? Pie Pounder. Hey, Pie Pounder, how you doing? Evening, Ben. Hope all is well. Yeah, well, since the election, it's been very good. Crafty Nihilist. Wisconsin. I wasn't that drunk this time. Wisconsin. Wise commie train. Honestly, I was like, I was so drunk on that night, and of course, I thought Trump had won, but then of course you know what, and he didn't. John Fused, where can I watch you live? Well, here, John Fused. Just look out for the show. Look out for the notices for the live streams. And he says, in another reality. No. You can watch me live in this reality. Just look out for the live stream notices. Click the subscribe and click the bell. And I know that doesn't always work, but Crafty Nice. Wish you won. Oh, God, you're drunk now. You're drunk. And Crafty says, where's part 5? I'm bored again. Oh, right. Yeah, I was uploading these in stages. So I did spot your comment there. Lance says, is this on Rumble? I can't find it. Well, it should be. And Lance says, I found your Rumble channel. You should be live streaming this. No, I explained, actually, I don't want to live stream this because I didn't want to live stream this because I basically want to do little segments and go off and watch other people's live streams. Styx Hexenhammer made the mistake of live streaming, and he just ran out of things to say eventually. He was just repeating himself. Brett Riverboat, fight. Oh, yes, fight. Yes, Trump said with blood pouring down his face. Brett Riverboat, I was on part 7. This is part 7. Have you seen the Sky News coverage? Haha, the presenters are nearly in tears. I've watched a couple of clips, and it is very, very satisfying. It is. I feel that justice has been done. Brett Riverboat, serve them right for what Bill Hicks said, sucking Satan's cock. Bluebeam says US election 2024 live stream. David has a lot of other good points about Trump, I think, but maybe he is better than Harris for the US economy. I want to see his Ukraine policy, but case of Iran, it looks grim. Excuse me. These mad people in the US have summoned Trump the whole time. They will get him. He hasn't actually revealed his roadmap for Ukraine yet, Trump. I hope he does soon. I'm confident he has one because let's face it. I mean, they waited till he was out of the way to kick the Ukraine thing off, didn't they? As for Iran, well, despite his belligerent remarks about Iran, I think he will do a lot of good there. But they've summoned Trump the whole time. Then they will get him. I'm sure they are thinking of ways to undo him one way or another. I'm sure they are. I mean, what would really shock me is if he's just allowed to go ahead and no one opposes him. Of course, they're going to try and bring him down. They did the first time. They're going to do it again. Trump is taking care of his physical security. I'm sure of that. I mean, I think he has the resources. He could hire a battalion of mercenaries to help him, apolitical and much more reliable men. And indeed, he has his helpers in the intelligence services. But they're not going to give up. They're going to try all kinds of things. It may not be a violent attack. It may be some fake scandal. It could be some lawfare of some kind. It could be all kinds of things. They've tried it. Part 8, Crafty Nihilist. First, yay, well done, Crafty. You're happy, Ben. Can't wait for Noahide Law. What's that? Noahide Law, something to do with the Bible, isn't it? I can't remember. Give it a couple of years for the honeymoon to wear off, and we will see how many shekels he has swallowed. For the record, I'm not a Kamala freak either. I'm a don't trust any of them. Some might say a backslapper. You sound a bit crafty, but you're a very nice backslapper. But as for the honey, I don't agree with you on Trump. Time will tell. In 4 years' time, you will be telling me, told you so, or I'll be telling you, told you so. We'll see. Part 8 again, nothing as it seems. America is finally unburdened by what has been. Yes. Finally, as that song goes by Tracy Chapman. I mean, I wrote an article about this. I'm not a fan of Tracy Chapman. I don't know if you remember her. She was a big name in the American folk music scene a number of years ago. She's very, very melancholy, maudlin singer, songwriter with lyrics and things. She wrote one happy song called "Talking About a Revolution," which has the lyric, "Finally, the tables are starting to turn." And as I said to Sweet Fox, possibly, they've always said, well, things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. But I thought, well, if they keep on getting worse and worse and worse, they might get to the point where they can't get better. When are we going to turn the corner? Well, maybe this is the biggest moment where I think we might have turned the corner, and we can now start to climb out of this cesspit, which is going to take a long time. It's a very steep, long, difficult, tortuous climb to get out of this very deep, very rancid cesspit. But at least now we're heading in the right direction. Lance Corporal, Part 8. 4 years, the USA has stable leadership. Thank God for that. I was like, there was this lady on TikTok who said, I'll try and find you the video and maybe play it. And I'm not going to do it right now because I'm going through these comments. But she was like the others. She was crying like the Trump derangement syndrome sufferers. But she was going, thank you, God, for saving our country. She was very, very different. Lance Corporal says, thank God, good luck resetting your sleep schedule. Oh, I did sleep a bit after that, but I was too excited to sleep for sure. Part 9. I want to wait a bit longer to be 100% sure. All right, fair enough, mate. And it's possible. I mean, it was technically possible at the point I ended my coverage for Trump to win. He could, Alaska could have flipped for Harris. They would be miraculous, and because Alaska is one of the most hardline Republican states of all. But it was bright pink, and it was like it was just short of declaring. But I thought, yeah, it could declare for Harris. But no, I was sure enough at that time. I did go back. In fact, I've been going back ever since then, checking the Axios maps, and the election's still not finished. They haven't decided all the legislature yet. But Trump has everything. I wrote an article called Grand Slam on HPANWO Voice. Trump has, of course, he's got the presidency by a vast margin. He's got the popular vote by 71%. He's got the Senate, 53 seats. Now he's got the House. He's got 218 last time I checked. And of the 5 pending constituencies, 4 of them are trending for Trump. So he's got that legislature, he's got the Senate, he's got the Senate and House, he's got popular vote, got the presidency, and of course he runs the court essentially with his appointees still. And there's a few due to retire, and he can replace them with his own appointees. So basically, there's nothing left for him to win. And Michael Snow said he's in. Yeah, he's in, definitely. Tor Engen, it was 8 a.m. by then, and I was thinking, I've got to sleep. Red Snapper on reply 103, reply to comments 103. Was Kev Baker a good friend? He was one of the best, mate. He was one of the greatest. He was a lovely chap. I was a very close collaborator with him. I met him once. We talked a lot. Lovely man. Of course, he was actually he was like you. He was a massive backslapper, but he was a nice kind of backslapper. You know, he was a nice backslapper. You're quite a nice backslapper too, I must say. Red Snapper, would you ever go on the Lotus Eaters panels? Yeah, on the Lotus Eaters panel. Yes, I would. Absolutely, I would. If they'd have me, but I don't think they would. I think I'm a little bit too extreme for the Lotus Eaters. I'm going to have to click this. 145.52. Did you see Sargon of Akkad? He did a video where he's analysed the MPs, and he reckons they have an IQ of 90, an average IQ of 90. So basically, we're ruled by midwits. All right, that's my IQ in the 90s. So am I a midwit? Oh, Red Snapper, I don't want to be rude to you. All right, there's nothing wrong with having an IQ in the 90s. I know many people who I think are less intelligent than me, but they're really good people. They are principled and wise, and you get Forrest Gump like characters who have a kind of it's almost their sort of disingenuous nature makes them kind of gives them a particular kind of wisdom, so no, I don't look down my nose on you at all. I think my IQ, I've never had an IQ test. I think I'm above average intelligence I've met so many evil geniuses in my life, and I'd prefer the company of people like you to them any day. So don't worry about it, mate. There's nothing wrong with being a midwit. Mid means middle, so you're average. That's okay. It was a High Court judge, actually, not an MP, Sir Talbot Buxomley. Yeah, thank you for correcting me on my lack of knowledge. See, you may have an IQ of 90, but you've got a wonderful memory for the Blackadder TV comedy series with Rowan Atkinson. Yes, you could appoint him a High Court judge. Yes, it was Sir Talbot Buxomley who died. Oh, he's dead, sir. Yeah. No, the MP was the other thing. It was Baldrick. He says any criminal record, and Baldrick says he's filling in his MP application form. No, and he says, "Come on, Baldrick, you're going to be an MP for goodness' sake." I'll just put fraud and sexual deviance. Yeah, thanks for the correction, then. How did you fall out with the person from Mauritius? All right. Well, I don't want to say. It was Jamnoy 72. You probably noticed, actually, we don't comment anymore on each other's channels. But it was a personal issue, and personal issues have to remain personal. All right, that's the same. It's sad, but these things happen, Right, a Red Snapper 150. Who has died now? Who's Tony? Oh, right. Oh, yeah, and he says here, the Alderborough presenter. I've seen that vid, yeah. It was Tony Buckingham. Yeah, he passed away a couple of months ago. I'm going to do a tribute show to him, actually, soon, yeah. Red Snapper. Oh, a long-time friend of the channel, Patrick Patel. Not seen him in ages. Yes, it was good to welcome Patrick back. Yeah, he's a lovely guy, Patrick. He's really nice. People say nice as an insult these days, and and I know people say, if people call me nice, I kind of go, hang on, you're saying I'm some kind of wimp, aren't you? And I'm some kind of weakling. And I don't mean that nice people. I don't think niceness is weakness. I've known many people who are nothing of the sort. I mean, there's one chap, actually. There's one chap who immediately springs to mind, actually. He's someone, I know him on Facebook. I've never met him. We sometimes sort of say we're going to meet at some point. But now he's very much an alpha male. He's always smartly dressed in fashionable clothes. He's got a big fast car. He's always posting pictures of himself shooting a gun on a firing range or standing next to his standing next to his fast car in Qatar or Dubai or wherever he's working at the moment and things like that. Got a nice house and everything. Obviously, he is like the epitome of the alpha male Chad, right? But he is really, really nice. He's very friendly, very polite and respectful, always very warm. And of course, I know because he's an alpha male means no one's going to mess with him. He's a hard-headed businessman, you know, but he is nice. So I don't see why weak people and nice people are sort of mutually exclusive. They're not. So I don't mean, when I say nice, I don't mean in an insulting way. 2120. Oh, we got a timestamp on 103 now for Red Snapper. Rhiannon Raven says here on QED conference, do all skeptics look like Liberal Democrat MPs? Oh, a lot of them do. A lot of them do, Red Snapper. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna turn over this just in case it doesn't process. So 1 sec. No, actually, should I? No, I'll keep going. I'll risk it. I'll redo an hour if I have to. Because sorry, I had a little problem with StreamYard earlier. Hopefully it's all right. Alt Tech exclusive, right? Notice of Alt Tech exclusive. America is doomed. This is something I put after the election, which of course, as you know, is all very nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And Neil says, "Oh, how evil and wicked he is." Yes. Catching on there, Neil. Taft Derek Baker says, "What species is he?" Oh, well, he's not a lizard. He's not a reptilian. I know that much. Cosmic Claire. Hey, Claire, how you doing? It's the end of the world, Ben. Claire catches on as well there, as I knew she would. Oh, right. And here's someone who doesn't catch on. Spooky Yandy 1. Spooky Yandy 1 I've not seen this person comment before, so I think they're new to my channel, and perhaps they just don't understand my particular sense of humor, right? Spooky Yandy 1, for future reference, if I have a video called Notice of Alt Tech Exclusive, the rest of the title and the content of the video is ironic, okay? It's sarcastic and it is satirical, just to let you know. So Spooky Yandy watched my Notice of Alt Tech Exclusive America is Doomed and said, "Are you serious about this shit? You really think that Trump is the bad guy, lol?" Well, I could have explained, but instead I just put the reply. Just watch the live stream and a wink emoji. And Neil explained he's having a jest, yes. US election 2024 part 9. This video is historic. Well done, mate. Thanks, InsureTech. I was in happy shock there. You know, I was almost in tears through happy shock. And Lance Corporal says soon on the Notice of Alt Tech exclusive. The Berkshire Roswell Crafty Nihilist first. Well done, Crafty. You are the first to reveal the catastrophic disclosure that an alien spacecraft crashed in a field near the River Thames in Berkshire. Not. Darren says here on Berkshire Roswell 1. Not quite, Darren. Yours 2. The Crafty Nihilist got there first. The Berkshire Roswell here. David Splendid Isolation says, pretty obvious to me it's a beer keg with accoutrements, but thanks for investigating, Ben. You're welcome, mate. Well, I kind of thought that myself. Let me just have a look if I find an image of a beer keg with a beer keg. Let's have a look. Let me just share here screen. I should have done this already, shouldn't I? Beer keg images. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's obvious. It's something like this, isn't it? But it has pipes coming off it and things like that. Which it may have been like the pipes and the rods might have come from it being in a pub basement or something. You know, it may have been part of like something else like that. So I don't see any of there's these attachments here. So see, there's like a pipe there. I didn't see that there, but you know, the main body of this object, the main body does look to me like a beer barrel. Yes, it does look exactly like that. And Green Tea says, I was also thinking a beer keg or dressed up shop vacuum. Left Halloween prop, maybe a screenshot with a close up of the writing and a quick image search. I don't know exactly how to do that. I know that it looked to me like some characters from the Chinese or Japanese scripts. That's all I tell. But I mean, I'm not very good with image searching, unfortunately. Neil says, yes, I think it was a beer keg with pipes and other bits attached. Pardon me. And Neil says, the depiction of the so-called fizzing sound, I think, was a wink as such in the article, referencing the possibility of being a beer keg. Yeah. Or maybe it was pressurized and it was just releasing whatever gas was left inside. Dark Corners Beyond said, yes, definitely looks like a beer keg to me. Yeah, guys, thanks for your help there. And I have to agree, after actually going there, I couldn't find the actual object. It was obviously been moved by then. But and also for other reasons, all the signs and the warning signs of something like that happening weren't there. As I said, military presence, people looking nervous, rumours circulating in the pub. That wasn't present as well. In fact, some people in the pub hadn't even heard of it. So no, it's not a Roswell. But I decided to keep the title anyway because it's clickbaity, isn't it? Hugo Rune says on Berkshire Roswell, thanks for my evening entertainment. Nice one. You are very welcome, Sir Hugo of Runeshire. See you in February. And of course, he says, spliffs in the tin, beer in my bedside cupboard. Yes, indeed. You have your checklist complete for your HPANWO TV watching schedule. All's well with life, says 69 Phuket. This one didn't get on my feed. Oh, not again, Phuket. Oh, goodness me. Bloody YouTube. You see, I've had this as well. I left a little community notice about Slaxer because Slaxer is now back. I'll say more about that later. But he uploaded a video about 6 days earlier. I know I've been checking his channel regularly. I've clicked his bell. I never got that either. Well, the good news, that's good news. I'll come to in a minute. Berkshire Roswell here. Confused 42 at 42:22. What sigil? What sigil? Show me, please. I've experienced Japan. Ex-girlfriend. Oh, yes, we know all about your Japanese ex-girlfriend, mate, don't we? Yes. Oh, the sigil. I use the word sigil. I think the correct word is character. It looks like a character for the Chinese or Japanese script on the purple band around the beer keg-like structure. But I can't speak that language. I could have done a reverse. Thing is, if I did a reverse image search, all I'd get is the media spots on that particular news story anyway. But have a look, Hugo. Just what do you think it looks like? Seeing as you've been in Japan, you know Japan very much indeed, don't you? 69 Phuket says X's are X. Grills are few and far between, but at least I got to visit South Korea. Wow. Oh, girls. I think you mean girls are few and far between. Well, they certainly are for me. But you got to visit South Korea. Good for you, mate. Good for you. That's good. I'm hoping to. I wouldn't mind going there. I mean, I want to go back to Contacting the Desert, though. It was such a good time last year. The Berkshire Roswell. Bumbelina says, I adore these UFO investigations. You are very underrated, Mr. Emlyn Jones. Top stuff. You're welcome, Bumbelina. But, I don't think I'm underrated. I think people like you, and I think you rate me very highly. And in all modesty, you should do. And Tessa says, I love the strange Ben. Thank you, Tessa. Much appreciated. Tessa says, might be HARP weather modification device. Unlikely, Tessa. This was a kind of more of a possibility before I visited the location. I thought it might be a satellite of some kind or something similar, or possibly something like extraterrestrial. But even when I first read the news story, I thought it was unlikely. However, my visit to the location confirmed it. And I'm glad I went. I'm glad I went. Rhiannon Raven says on the Berkshire Roswell, there was something very satisfying about watching a former lard-eating world champion chasing around Larden Chase looking for a crash UFO. Another excellent report, Ben. Thanks, Rhiannon. Yeah. Yes, Larden Chase. That's very interesting. I'll wait. I'll tell Richard Freeman that when I see him. He'll be really amused. Red Snapper says troll post. No, Rhiannon Raven is not a troll. I can promise you. 69 Phuket says here, igniting cellular spasms to the central nervous system. Oh, right. Is that because you're laughing so much? Think we should just sit down. Don't just do something. Sit there. Watch your breath. What are you talking about? Igniting cellular spasms to the central nervous system. I mean, have you been bitten by a bonefish or something and its venom is getting into your system? In which case you've got about 5 minutes left to live, but obviously not because you have commented since then. Berkshire Roswell. Green Tea. Hi, Green Tea. How you doing? Thanks for the tip. I enjoyed the walk and seeing the back roads of the UK. Oh, you're welcome, Green Tea. I know you're American. It's good. I enjoyed seeing the back roads of the US when I was there. It's always like interesting, isn't it? But yeah, it wasn't an easy walk. Not just the slope, but there's no pavement and things like that. 69 Phuket reminds me of the apple picking in Kent. Walked miles to the Aldi, says 69 Phuket. Oh right, I see. So there's lots of open areas in Kent. It's a lovely area. The Berkshire Roswell again. Wayne Model Builder says, I love these types of videos you do occasionally. Nice one, Ben. Thank you, Wayne Model Builder. And believe it or not, I might have an opportunity for a bit more field research in the coming weeks. I can't tell you, but it's possible. Berkshire Roswell, 4107. Wow. Was misconduct a death penalty offence in those days? You left a timestamp here, and I know you're referring to the monk and the nun. Yes. Well, it's possible that, I mean, obviously monks and nuns were always at it the whole time if they were well connected. But in Oxford, we have the established legend of Rosamond the Fair, mistress of the King Edward II, who was a nun at the Godstow Convent. But if they were the wrong kind of nun and monk and they decided to get together for a little canoodling, that could have been considered misconduct, worthy of hanging. Fella John says on the Berkshire Roswell, sure felt like I travelled those roads on my way to somewhere probably 30 odd years ago. Thanks for posting, Ben. P.S. Any idea why Berkshire is pronounced the way it is? Yeah, I don't know. I felt sure I travelled those roads on the way to somewhere. You may well have done, but 30 years ago was a long time. But right. Neil has actually provided the detail. But anyway, thank you, John. Well done. Neil says here, okay, I'm not clever, so this copied from the web. The pronunciation of Berkshire is not historically based. It is mainly a regional preference. Correct pronunciation of the English historic county is Berkshire. The name Berkshire comes from the Celtic word Bearrock, which means hilly. The name first appeared in the 9th century as Beorskir, which was the name of a forest that contained box trees. Oh, right. So it's from, right. Hilly, I mean, it could well be. I mean, I know that the Welsh word for hill is Bryn. Bearrock, it could be related because Welsh is descended from Celtic in the same way that English is descended from Germanic. So, yeah. And indeed, it is a hilly place. It is. There's the Berkshire Downs. There's, of course, the hills, which I had to climb. And if you go to Peasmore, it's quite hilly around there as well. But thanks for the information, Neil. I don't know why it's, I mean, the E, I mean, the thing is, I want to, you know, the Berkeley College in California, Berkeley UCL, I want to pronounce it Barclay because I'm used to these sorts of pronunciations. Same video, Fetler John. Oh no, I've already read that one. That's the previous comment. Mac City says here on the Berkshire Roswell, and thanks for standing up to me against the bloody trolls, mate. I do appreciate that. If from my years of watching cheesy sci-fi films have taught me anything, it's that that was a recon vessel from another world. They have slowly taken over the people of that small, sleepy town. Yes, Mac City. I may go back there in 9 months and see if they've produced any blonde-haired, blue-eyed little boys and girls. Teddy Bear Leem says, a brilliant video. Enjoyed watching. Thanks very much, Teddy Bear Leem. That's a good name. That's Berkshire Roswell as well. Same video. No, sorry. This is the same commenter, different video. US election 2024 part 9. Teddy Bear Leem says, brilliant. I'm so happy Trump won. Maybe it's better. It's far better. Far better. There's no way, whatever happens now, we're better off. I mean, I know there's no guarantees that who knows what the deep state might do in retaliation, but we've got this election done. It's in the past. It can't be changed. That is vital. The Berkshire Roswell, Teddy Bear Leem says, I think the answer lays on what the writing on it says. I hope someone can translate it. It probably says, pull my finger. I really should look into that, actually. I mean, Hugo, honestly, you must speak a bit of the language if you shagged a woman from Japan. Come on, mate. She must have taught you some of the language in your pillow talk moments. What does it mean? I mean, have you seen that character anywhere else? Please tell me. The Berkshire Roswell. Angela Kenyon. Oh, here we go. Right. Right. There's no long Bible verse. That's good. That's good. Usual, typical story, Ben. Few nonsenses. Photo of the man-made object, purposely photo close up, so there is no telling where it is. Could have been in the inventor's back garden. Yes, it's obviously created by somebody, not much imagination. Of course, it's in a National Trust space. We know about National Trust. Quite funny and interesting in the end. Entertaining investigation. Thanks, Ben. You made a very good point. Quote, people are thinking, putting two and two together, making their own connections on the subject in the public consciousness. Unquote, all beneficial. Love you, Ben. Love your videos. Thank you, Angela. And I didn't mean to be I didn't mean to sort of roll my eyes about the Bible comments. I don't, honestly. I appreciate what you said here. Yeah, I mean, it was the actual coverage was also a bit novelty, as often happens, of course, with. Did I just pull my mic out? I hope I didn't. I'll just check. Audio. No, it's still working. This could have been a novelty piece. The photographs were taken. All the photos taken I've seen of this were close up. You can't tell where it was. Apparently, it could have been in someone's garden. I mean, all you can see is like a tree in the background in one shot. But they said it was on Larden Chase. I assumed that they were correct. I went and had a look there. I couldn't find it anywhere. It's a big area, very difficult to explore, with very steep hill. The weather wasn't the best. The visibility was low with all the fog, so not the best conditions for exploring. But obviously, it's been moved. I would have seen that if it had been there. It would have been big enough to spot. I did get to the point where I saw the entire area, to a point where I would have known that was there. But I'm glad you enjoyed that, and it probably was created. It may have been a Halloween prop, like somebody else said. It's a mystery that will remain, I think. As for the National Trust, well, we know they've covered things up, haven't they, in the realm of the crop circle world. So yeah, you can't trust that. You can't trust the trust. The Berkshire Roswell Neil Peel Paranormal Peep Show says, all the P's in that. Just an extra thought, Ben. You could perhaps invest in a small drone to fly over your area and potentially spot your target in less time. If it was still there, a drone might additionally be of assistance in trying to locate a body of Moore's victim, Keith Bennett, who was 10 years old at the time he was sadly murdered. A drone might reveal the difference from the air of disturbed ground. Many hidden archaeological structures have been spotted from the air. Yeah, investing in a small drone myself, I'm not sure if I use it that often. Excuse me. But what I might do is I might ask Matthew Williams if he can join me and come along. As for Keith Bennett, yeah, he's still missing. It's very sad with Keith Bennett, and there are funnily enough, there are photos of his grave which were taken by these evil bastards who killed him, which again show a bit of the background, but not enough to identify where it is. I don't know if, I mean, people have been searching that area for years, but they know that the only thing we know is within about 2 or 3 square miles, so it's really, really difficult. But I mean, a couple of years ago, there was this news story thinking he'd been found. It turned out to be a false alarm. I know there are people going up there looking. Maybe if it's possible, I mean, after all these years, I doubt if the ground will appear disturbed. Archaeological structures do appear from the air, but only if they are bulky enough to leave a significant mark on the ground. This is a little boy who's in an unmarked grave. Phuket says technically challenging. Yes, it is. And Neil says, flying a drone won't be easy the first time around, but practice makes perfect. It does. This is why another reason why I might ask Slaxer along. And then I put on a community notice, which was this. I'm happy to report that Slaxer has uploaded a brief video. I'm happy to see him back, and I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling relieved. Yes, as you know, ladies and gents, Slaxer Asnada he's vanished for over a year. I'm going to show you his channel now. He uploaded a video 2 weeks ago after an entire year of silence, and I was very worried. I was fearing the worst, actually. I know what kind of mental state he's in. He speaks quite openly about it. He even talks about mental health, an honest mental health video diary, suicide, depression, anxiety. I was very afraid that the worst might have happened, that he might have done something and he's no longer with us. And this is why I went to his old home, his street where he lived, to see if I could find any news, and I couldn't. I was thinking of even going up to the village where his partner lives and knocking on her door, but I didn't in the end. But he uploaded this video here, which I won't play for you, but you can watch. It's the Oxford fireworks from November the 5th. And I did put I just put a comment on saying, "So glad to see you back, mate." And it really is back. Good to be back. Right, back to the community page. Comments. Melvin Sherman says on Notice of Old Tech Exclusive, America is doomed. The short version of Trump 2.0 is Trump is building the Berlin Wall in Ukraine. Don't think so. Like I said, Putin wants Soviet Union landmark, not communist. Oh, we've talked about that before. Yes, I mean he doesn't want the territory covered by the Soviet Union to be back under his control, but he wants a coalition of nearby neighbors who are on his side, like Belarus is. Yeah, is like I already told this, but I use another example. But is like if Putin want a war against the USA for simple want Alaska back or something like that. Right. If right, you're right. Please, I know you can't help your education and your reading practices, but this is difficult. If Putin want a war against the USA for simple want Alaska back, Russia doesn't want Alaska back. The Soviet Union didn't want Alaska back. As you know from if you listen to my Rasputin radio show, the Russian Empire was by far the largest nation state the world has ever seen. It was it covered 3 continents from Eastern Europe to North America, because it included areas. It was even bigger than the Soviet Union because it included Finland, parts of Poland, and indeed Alaska in North America. Funny enough, in 1850, the Russians sold Alaska to the US, I think for $10 million or 10 million rubles. I remember I watched a video about that. Yeah. So, but Putin does not want Alaska back. It would cost him more than that, I'll tell you. So in the future, the South Ukraine will be part of Russian, and also more Russian mob and shit. Well, the Eastern Ukraine will have will be protected. I don't think he wants to make that part of Russia in terms of state, but he wants those people protected. He wants them to have a certain amount of self-government. Yeah. But you can have limited self-government within a nation state. We have county councils here in the UK. Or he would attack another country, again, still unknown. If he said no, it might lead to a Cold War too, because Trump did say, is Putin back down or say no? No, we will double the attack, so might be Cold War II. Well, we're in Cold War II essentially now. Trump hasn't unveiled his roadmap to peace. It's possible he's had private discussions with President Putin about this. These might be going on now. Melvin says, I don't believe Trump would end a war with one day. That could be a bit of hyperbole. He says 24 hours. It's that joke, that very night, i.e. 2 weeks later. I don't believe it would take 24 hours, but I mean, that is a hyperbolous comment, but an exaggeration. But I think he'll end it very quickly. And wokeness will be dead soon. Yes, and may it rot in hell. It's certainly, I get the feeling that despite what Sargon of Akkad said, we've passed peak woke. And Trump is going to undo a lot of the ridiculous anti-white, anti-male legislation that's been a part of American life for so long. And also the whole Belarus thing. I honestly don't know, Ben, but I want you to look this up. If George Orwell, this F George Orwell level WTF. Oh, the Belarus, right. I mean, you did say something to me before, and I'm sorry I haven't had time to look into it, Melvin. Perhaps you could just give me some more details. And Melvin has posted here on the same video some YouTube links. Right. I hope these are links because I'm not cutting and pasting things. Here we go. Right. Okay.
Build wealth every day with Trading 212.
Okay, let's get the ad.
Invest with zero.
Okay.
By ground news. Earlier
this is TLDR News EU. Trump's Ukraine peace plan explained. Well, what I'll do is I'll have it's 8 minutes. It's 9 minutes long. I don't have time to watch that now. But let's click the other one then, Melvin, shall we?
But from the outset, I can tell you that his behavior when there was an attempt on his life I was impressed.
Yeah.
He's a courageous person.
Putin's a traditional Eastern European. They admire masculinity and courage like that. They do.
And it's not just about the hand he raised and his call to fight for their common values and ideals. Of course, there was a Russian.
I'll watch the rest of this later, but I get the point, I think. I'll watch the rest of that later, Melvin. But yeah, and you say, I don't believe Trump would end the war with a phone call on the day. But, right, sorry, I'm sorry, I don't have time to watch too many videos, Melvin. I must apologize for that. I'll watch them later. But I can watch. I could play this on double speed.
Adrenaline, but a person shows their true color in these emergencies, and this is precisely one of those cases. And I think he acquitted himself admirably in a valiant fashion as a man, saying, "I don't know what's going to happen right now during his new presidency, because this is going to be his last presidency. Whatever he does, it's up to him to decide." But what he's been saying publicly up until now, I would be loath to comment on what was said during the electoral campaign, because that was a deliberate thing to fight for votes. But regardless, what he said about his desire to rebuild relations with Russia, to facilitate an end to the Ukrainian crisis, I think this deserves attention at the very least. And I would like to take this opportunity to offer my congratulations on his election as President of the United States. As I said before, we're going to work with any head of state that is going to garner the trust of the American people, and this is what's going to happen in practice. And if he does what he has been promising, before the inauguration, if he makes a phone call, if he says, "Vladimir, let's meet," I don't think it would be beneath me to call him myself. So you're willing to talk to Trump? Yes, we are. We're ready.
They're willing to talk to Trump. Great. Right. That's what I mean. That's kind of what I mean. Melvin, I agree. I think you say but, and I think this is a very, very positive thing for Russia and for Ukraine, because honestly, the Ukrainian people are the people suffering the most out of this, aren't they? The Berkshire Roswell, 69 Phuket. Can you sometimes identify as a train wreck? You can, but I don't know exactly what your pronouns would be. Cole Costello says on the Berkshire Roswell, did you get the landlady's number, Ben? Oh. I didn't know. I mean, she did say she was only going to be there a couple of weeks, then was moving on. But she was a nice-looking lady. She was a very typical British barmaid, and it had that particular charm about her. Bernie Tucker says on the Berkshire Roswell, great video, Ben. Thanks for all your great videos. Keep up the good work, sir. Thank you, Bernie. I will. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Berkshire Roswell. Oh, EA audits. Here's EA audits. I was talking about you earlier, EA audits. Nice one, Ben. Never heard of this, but I did see a weird light in Berkshire. I know you posted your own video of that, and what's more, we discussed it in one of my previous videos. Donna Wellham says on the Berkshire Roswell. Here we go. Yes, hi Ben. Yes, saw something on my phone saying about helicopter retrieving something, but didn't really look at it as doing something else. I really could you give me some details, Donna? Because I wouldn't have thought that was something you need a helicopter to get rid of. I think it looks about the size of something you would carry. I think a council dumper truck would do the job. That'll be all. Just stick it on the back of the truck, that sort of thing. But let me know if you find out any more. Reply to comments 97. Oh, we're going back in time now. And we have a timestamp here. 1730. Right. Okay, I'll click that because here we go. The alarm's going to go off in a moment. But the most user-unfriendly website on all the bloody entire damn world of social media. I mean, it's incredible. They will stop to think and say, look, what are we doing here? What on earth are we doing? Well, and he says here, it's not they have lost their minds. It's done instinctively. Goes back to that you-know-what word thing. I know. I mean, I was sort of making a kind of like, I don't know, oh my God, this is crazy kind of thing. When what I mean is, oh my God, that's the end of hour number 2. What I mean is, oh my God, of course they know what they're doing, but people say what the government is doing is mad. The government is crazy to what they're doing there. But what we really mean is we're saying if they weren't so evil, they would be crazy. Of course they're doing this deliberately for the purposes of censorship. They're refusing to sign Article 230 because they want a pretext to commit censorship. If they signed Article 230, then they would declare themselves a platform, and then the individual user becomes 100% legally responsible for all their content, and YouTube are then off the hook. But they don't want to do that because they want to say they want an excuse to censor. So yeah, I understand what you're meaning, but when I say lost their minds, that's what I mean. Okay, so that's the end of an hour. Okay, welcome to hour number 3. This is probably going to be the last one. It's again, you see, I've still got quite a number of comments. I'm only on 11 days to go, so this is going to be a much longer reply to comments videos than the ones I've had before, because I've let it go longer. I've let it go about a month almost, so longer than before. But now, of course, we've got the Alltech one to do as well, which I will produce separately. Red Snapper says on reply to comments 97, 2104. Oh no, you've fallen out. You've fallen out with people. Your dad's girlfriend? Made up now? No, I have fallen out with my dad's girlfriend for reasons I explain in a video called Earth Mysteries, the Earth Mysteries conference recently. And I have fallen out with her, and we're still falling out. It makes things a bit awkward with my dad, but yeah, we can manage things. My dad's sort of leading 2 lives now. He comes to visit me, and she's not there. And they have this Christmas. We're going to have like 2 separate Christmas I think he's going away for Christmas. I think I might actually be on my own for Christmas, unless my daughter has something planned. Yeah, she might invite. I've got a feeling my daughter might invite me to her boyfriend's house actually, because he'll be having Christmas with his mum and dad and his sister. So yeah. All right, Red Snapper, reply to comments 97. Wrong un is British prison slang. He's trolling. Oh, right, this is... Hang on a sec. All right, I see. Okay. On sec. Actually a children's film. Very good one. I mean, it's the best children's fiction is ones that people of all ages can enjoy. Niles says, you're quite sneaky, huh? I'd go as far as to say you're a wrong un. Israel, you have a great love of children, and Israel... All right, yeah, okay, no problem. By the way, you may have noticed I'm wearing my jumper again. It's actually cold again in this room. As I said, I think this has got a lot to do with the fact that I have lost weight. As I said earlier, the heating is on. It's on as high as I want to put it. If I could turn it up a bit more and take this off, but how much would that cost? Until Trump declassifies free energy, of course. All right. Red Snapper says here on reply to comments 97. My mate is friends with Rolf Harris's daughter. She said Rolf's daughter thinks he was innocent and caught up in a witch hunt. What do you think? I don't know the details of the case, but would they have thrown him to the wolves? Would they have thrown an innocent man to the wolves to preserve their image, to say, look, we're doing something about it? Yes, they did this with the Birmingham 6 and the Guildford 4. Do you remember? Literally, for those of you who may not remember, the Birmingham 6 and Guildford 4 were there were some Irish people convicted of the Birmingham and Guildford pub bombings, which they didn't do, and the government knew they didn't do them. They just rounded them up and said, that song by the Pogues, they were Irish in the wrong place at the wrong time. The government just wanted to say to people, look, we're doing something about it. We're taking action against the IRA threats. And we have arrested people, we've prosecuted people. It was all for the image. The government wanted to look good, so they just rounded up some innocent people and pretended they caught the guilty ones. Of course, the real culprits were laughing their heads off, I'm sure. The real culprits never been caught. By the way, I could talk for ages about the British intelligence infiltration of the IRA. When it got to the point where you got to ask yourself, is it infiltration or is it control? That's a long story. Funny enough, only one man has ever been convicted of an IRA attack on the British mainland. That was the guy who did the Brighton bomb. All the others have never been caught. It makes you wonder who really did them, doesn't it? The Berkshire Roswell, Tor Engen says, the text looks more like TX reference Terminator. The signature is more to look like Chinese or Japanese. The structure or stroke order is not correct. Okay, thanks for the information. It did look at, yeah, thank you very much. So it's just made to look like Chinese or Japanese, but it's actually from the Latin script. Okay, I forgot there's a word for that, where you take text from one script and you make it look like another. It's like there's this place on Cali Road which has serves Middle Eastern food, and it's written in English, but the script looks a bit like Arabic, If there's a word for that, is it transliteration? I can't remember. It's not transcription. QED Conference 2024, Dark Corners Beyond says, another fantastic reportage. Thank you, Ben, for taking us with you. You're very welcome, mate. More to come. Ben Emlyn Jones at the Mablethorpe Group. All right. The Lights Low says, hope you don't mind me mentioning, but Bob Monkhouse was only born in 1928. He wasn't on TV until the early 1960s. All right, well, thanks for Lights. I stand corrected, said as the man in the orthopedic shoes, as Alan Partridge says. But there was somebody I know that had a pre-war BBC TV career and then went on afterwards. What's that? Right, we have now a new film, Alien Interview Update with Jon Stewart. David Splendid Isolation says, thanks, Ben. You're welcome, David. And then Alien Interview, same video. Hugo Rune. Nice one, Ben. I always enjoy your pots. Do you? Oh, damn typos. I meant I enjoy your spots. You've got pot on the brain, though, haven't you? Because you smoke enough of it. Same video. Phil Ainsworth Pepper. You used to have a different name, didn't you? If you're who I think you are. Says, can you remember Betamax? Oh, yes, I remember Betamax, yes, along with all the other things that sort of came and went out of fashion. You know, like the Sinclair C5. There's loads of these things in the 80s, you know. But I actually remember I was actually a kid. I was a kid and we went to I had a wonderful weekend in Cambridge because my dad had a friend who lived in Cambridge and we went there and I really got on well with this man's children. He had a son and a daughter and it was snowing. I remember it was snowing very hard. It was after Mount St. Helens had erupted and we had a series of very cold winters. I remember the deep snow. We went sledging and we went back to their place and they had a video. They had a video, right? But they had like a Betamax video, and we only had VHS tapes. There was one video we could watch. It was a film called Carmen, which is like a Spanish movie, not the opera. It was about some people in the film Carmen, and oh yeah, I remember there was a point where you see a woman topless. And he said, pause it there, rewind. I want to see that bit again. Oh, there it is, yes. And she had her tits out. And we were like young teenage boys, and it was just like, you know, this was so erotic. You know? But yeah, but I remember we couldn't fit most of the tapes into the bloody recorder. I remember that because the one was Betamax, the other was VHS. Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, those were the days. Yeah, all these little things that came and went and they were forgotten afterwards. Hugo Rune says, "Lol, thanks for the memory. I'd forgotten." Yes, but I remember that. Yeah, everyone's sort of, what are you talking about? Videotapes, Ben? What are you talking about? Anyone younger than me is like baffled. Right? Can you think of Netflix in a black plastic brick? That's it. Got it, kids? Yeah. Fettler John says on the Alien Interview, enjoyed that. Thanks, Ben. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I think the reason Phil Ainsworth brought this up was because, of course, the Alien Interview documentary was originally released onto VHS, and I didn't see it at the time. I saw it about 10 years after it was released. But yeah, I did remember that. Yeah. Tessa1111 says on Alien Interview, well, I'm glad it's not the American, quote unquote, talk show host presenter Jon Stewart. No, not that one. No, not that Jon Stewart. Yeah, he's Jon Stewart is he's a guy who does these American shows. And what's annoying is they're all behind national walls. So because do you remember I did that video with Rin Michaelis talking about UFOs because he did a spot on UFOs, and you can't see it outside the United States. I should have got her to download it for me and send it to me, but that's annoying now. Yeah. Jon Stewart, of course, is British. He has an English accent. But which doubles the irony, I think. But he's quite entertaining, I suppose. But no, this is a different Jon Stewart. Same video, Taff Derek Baker. Cool. Yeah. John, it's next Thursday. It all comes out next Thursday. Yes. I'm thinking of replaying his the audio of his interview on the HPANWO show because that always goes live that day. Red Snapper. If you were paid to join the counter jihad movement, would you do it? No. Because it's fake. It's. I know you say, oh, Ben, if someone offered you enough money, you'd do anything. No, I hope I wouldn't because I believe I have principles that can't be bought. I hope so. If I, all right, I've never been in that situation where I've been bribed to that extent. But if I was, I hope I would refuse. I hope I'd have the courage to say, no, I'm going to stick by my guns. Because the counter jihad movement is fake. It's false. It has and there's some sincere, genuine people in it who want the best for their country, but they've made a terrible mistake about the cause of the problems of our nation, as I've explained before. Bumbelina says on Alien Interview, excellent stuff as always. Thanks, Bumbelina. Glad you enjoyed that. Reply to comments 96. Oh, he's going back in time now. Red Snapper, how much do you drink at the weekends? A bottle of spirits? Well, at the moment I don't, because I'm on my detox. Normally I might have a couple of bottles of wine. I drink spirits maybe every month or so. Mostly wine, but not at the moment. Same video. Red Snapper, gluten for punishment. Oh, I think you mean glutton. A huge fan of Ben Emlyn Jones and Steve Mumbling. Thank you very much, Red Snapper. Glutton for punishment. Oh, well, it's a good punishment, isn't it? Let's have a look at it. The Manchester Dogman is back. Great. Oh, yeah. Thanks very much, Red Snapper. I'm really glad you enjoy my channel. And, of course, inevitably, we have the one and only Victor Nevada here. Of course, I had a feeling this is someone I know, actually, and so I know who he is. I've spoken to him. I've even met him a couple of times. The Alien Interview, I actually showed you his channel, didn't I, on this? He's called The Alien Interview, and he's posting on the Alien Interview video. But as I explained in my interview with Jon Stewart, Victor Nevada here has actually turned against John, and for reasons I say I don't want to go into because it's a personal issue, but they are now working independently and separately, and there's quite a fierce rivalry between them, I think. But anyway, he says here, I think it's wrong that you've started referring to him as the leading investigator into the case and kind of insulting. Right, I don't think, Victor, I don't think it's wrong at all. It's not wrong. I think he is a leading investigator. I did actually mention in the video, I think you are too, but I think he's one of them. And I think it's insulting and unfair to say he's not a leading investigator. He has dedicated a lot of time and effort into this. All right, he hasn't been in it as long as you have, and maybe that's what gets your goat. But I'm in this situation too, Victor. All right. I'm in the same situation with the Penturk incident. Look at how many people, like the Paranormal Scholar and Bedtime Stories. Look at all these people who've covered the Penturk incident after I did. I was the ufological journalist who broke that story. But I can put my ego aside for this because I care about the issue. Can you do the same? He says, did you forget that I started investigating the Alien Interview 12 years ago and received a congratulatory email from the Honourable Paul Hellyer in 2014 for authenticating the footage? No, I haven't forgotten. For goodness sake, Andrew, you remind people at every opportunity, and I allow you to do that, and you have every right to be proud of that. But you really are seeing things in a very binary way here. Because I dared and condescend to speak to Jon Stewart, suddenly I'm your enemy. Well, I can't stop you feeling that way. If you insist on feeling that way, I'm just going to leave you alone. But you are completely misguided here. I shared all of my research with you. I shared almost all. I don't know what tone he means to send, but honestly, he's almost recriminatory. I shared all of my research to you, and you betrayed me. Oh, come! Is that what you mean? I also found Colin Powell and Dr. Connie Mariano in the video, which led to me finding a credible Victor suspect, i.e. the number one Victor suspect, in my opinion. Yes, you've made a couple of videos about that. I've seen that, yeah. And, well, as I said, I'm in two minds about what you've discovered. You've discovered some interesting correlations, but it's not firm enough to say for certain. All right, so, but you really have got me all wrong here. I'm not going to go into a massive amount of effort trying to persuade you if you won't listen to reason. But I'm just telling you how it is, Andrew. I don't want to fall out with you, Andrew. I respect you as well, and I've said I've done nothing wrong to you, nothing. But I am not going to stay within the boundaries that you demand of me, just to keep in your good books. All right. If I want to talk to Jon Stewart, I will bloody well talk to Jon Stewart, and don't you dare tell me not to. Okay, Thaddeus says in reply, Let me get this straight, because I think we're looking at a complete psychopath. Andrew Burlington, the unofficial Alien interview, is making a bone of contention that he's not considered the authority of the Alien interview. Totally backing up what Jon Stewart said, that Burlington is a true narcissist who can't stand being at the not being the top authority. So Burlington is reaffirming he's a narcissist and a psychopath. You can't make this up in a movie script. Thank you, Burlington, for proving Jon Stewart's statement about you. You might be the dumbest person I've ever seen. All right. I think that's unfair, Thaddeus. I don't think he's a psychopath. No, he's definitely not a psychopath. I think, as for narcissist, no, I think it's also a bit too strong to call him a narcissist, having on reflection. I think Andrew is... I think he feels a bit insecure. If you want me to analyze him in the way you have, I think Andrew feels insecure and upset because he has attached so much of his identity to this case. And, you know, I don't dispute that Andrew is one of the three central figures in the investigation of this particular case. This is a UFO incident which very, very few people have taken seriously, except for three people. I told you who they were. They were Sean David Morton, they were Andrew Burlington, and they were Jon Stewart. I don't put them in order. I don't say, well, one has the gold medal and here's the silver medal, and poor old Andrew just gets the bronze here on the third step down. No, I'm not picking between them. But no, psychopaths, accusing someone of psychopathy is unfair, and narcissism. I think what appears to be narcissistic behavior, I think if you want me to analyze him, I think he feels upset that he feels he's not getting the credit he deserves, when I believe he is. All right, and here we have another comment from the Alien interview, Victor Nevada. Also, I don't know how Stewart can say that Gary Schwartz doesn't look like Victor, when I've proven he does look like Victor. Everyone who's seen the face comparison says it's spot on. The hands and arms are the same too. I'm sorry, but I think Stewart is in denial. Do you seriously think he can do better? All right. I don't think you haven't proven that Victor looks like Jon Stewart. It looks like that'd be a turn up for the book, wouldn't it? You haven't proven that Victor looks like Gary Schwartz. There is some similarity, there is some resemblance, but you must realize that you're looking at a guy shot in the darkness with a wig on and sunglasses. There is some resemblance, but then there could be 100 people he resembles. And the voice, again, is quite similar, but the personality is so different, it's unbelievable. As I've explained before, they are very, very different in terms of personality. I mean, I don't believe either Gary or Victor is a good enough actor to maintain that poise for so long. Oh, here we go again, the Alien interview. Another thing you should be made aware of. I received an email from Stewart a couple of months ago saying that Professor Gary Schwartz is definitely Victor. He has played you like a stringed instrument here. I can't believe you just sat there and allowed him to say that stuff about me. All right. Well, I did allow him to say that stuff about you because you've said much worse about him. Haven't you, Andrew? Come on, let's face it. And you are doing what a lot of people do. You have a personal dispute with someone else, and you're trying to cajole your friends into taking your side, rather than just leaving it to between the two of you. When it comes to personal disputes, you should do. I'm not getting involved in your personal disputes with another person. All right. I'm not going to. This is not my battle. This is yours and his. I've just told you. Look, if you are proved right, I will apologize to you. I promise you. If you're proved right at the end of this process, I'll apologize. I'll say, Andrew, you were right all along, and John was wrong. I'll say that. But we are going to find out who Victor is one day. We will find out, and so we will know. Now, I actually did. Let me just double check. I just did. I actually screen cap those comments because I thought I had a feeling Andrew was about to block me, and he didn't. So I was just checking. So I did actually take screenshots of those comments, which I don't need now because I've just replied to him. He didn't actually block me, so he may do after this video. Anyway, I put a pinned comment on the Alien interview update. I said, because of the duration and complexity of today's US congressional UFO hearing, I will not be able to complete my review today. I'll do it on Friday. Yeah, this might be the same for this video now because it's gone 6 p.m. and I want to have something to eat, and I've still got to do all the old tech. Right, we have the Berkshire Roswell, and we have the Spike, we have Spinstroller. That's his name. Spinsel Troller. Whatever that means. Ben, that thing you were looking for bears a resemblance to an early prototype vacuum cleaner, the main part being made of metal, unlike the modern-day vacuum that's made from plastics. A well-known undeveloped country in the 1960s adopted the old metal vacuum chassis for their first experimental crewed satellites, and attempts to put them in orbit around the Earth. Needless to say, most of them failed either on the launch pod or within minutes of their first orbit of the Earth. But who knows, maybe one or two got stuck up there for a few years and have since fallen back to Earth. I think it's possible, in the interest of good diplomatic relations between the UK and the unnamed country, our government has helped them save face by hushing up the circumstances of this crash landing of the Heath Robinson type satellite vacuum. A similar photo of an earlier type of vacuum is here. Right, okay, let's have a look. Right, let's have a look at this. The first vacuum cleaner was invented in 1901 by Sir Hubert Cecil Booth. So how come it's not called the Hubert instead of the Hoover? Okay. Oh, here we go. Right. William Henry Hoover produced the first single operator bag on stick type upright in 1908. Right, that's this one. Yeah, it says the Hoover. Yes, William Henry Hoover. That's it. That's why they're known as Hoovers. And that's a brush. That's actually not a vacuum cleaner. That's a short brush. The Star vacuum cleaner. Let's have a look. You should be able to see this. Yeah, there are actually there is some resemblance here actually, but a country used vacuum cleaners as satellites. Did they? Let's have a look into this. First of all, I'm just going to. By the way, I appreciate what you've done here. Early vacuum cleaners. Oh no, early vacuum tube. Vacuum cleaners. Vacuum tubes is a form of early electronics images. Yeah, there's certainly, what you find is you have these cylinder-like structures on them, like that. You have a cylinder-like structure attached to them. You can see here it's made cleaning with this Hoover Lavis, invented by white men, by the way. Feminists, please take note. By the way, feminists, this machine was invented before a filter capable of keeping coal dust out of human lungs. So the ingenuity of white men actually created a labor-saving device for women before we even created something to keep ourselves free of diseases which coal miners get. Right, yeah, you can actually see here, look, there's cylinder type effects on these things. Let me just Google the thing you said about satellites, vacuum cleaner satellites, because I'm just curious to see what you know here, because you don't provide a reference for that, but vacuum cleaner satellite. Okay. The floating. Oh, what's this? What is the vacuum cleaner planet in the solar system? eBay. Oh, it's a brand. I see it's a brand. Hang on a second. It's a brand of. Oh, it's a satellite vac. It's a brand of Hoover. Hang on. Oh dear. That's going to make it difficult with search terms. I can't look into that now. But Spinsel Troller, thank you very much for that lead. I'll be certain to look into it. I did request information. You provided some. So thank you. If you can get me any more information, I'd love it. I mean, email me, bennyj74@gmx.co.uk. The email is on the HPANWO TV blog. Please do check it out. And we have here Rhiannon on Alien Interview. All right, I know what she thinks about this. I'm extremely skeptical about this one, Ben, I'm afraid to say. The whole thing is ridiculous to me. I saw an interview with this Jon Stewart discussing his investigation of the footage. None of the reasons he was giving were in any way convincing to me at all. For example, he said that the film was filmed on 16mm film, and that back in the 1990s, 16mm film was very rare, and only film studios used this film. Firstly, no, it wasn't. And so what if film studios used it? Maybe someone from a professional film company made it. Secondly, a quick search of the interweb shows that 16mm was very popular in the 1990s and was even described as the home movie lovers format because it produced on safety stock, which means there was less strict regulations for storage, access, and projection. None of the other points he made gave anything near persuasion, let alone proof. If we think that the fact that places like Area 51 exist, I think any reasonable person with a modicum of understanding of human psychology would agree that it would be absolutely remarkable if nobody ever tried to make a hoax video of some kind of alien craft, or craft allegedly from some kind of military complex such as Area 51. Therefore, we should expect to see at least some attempts of fake some footage. That being said, anyone who was going to create such a thing would clearly not want to have to deal with sound as well as visuals, because what the hell would they say? What do aliens sound like? What does someone interrogating an alien sound like? I find it highly suspicious that both the alien autopsy footage and this offering both have no sound. Sorry, but this is all utter nonsense in my humble opinion. It might be real in the sense that it was made by someone with the government's blessing because they want us to think it was real, but a real alien? I'm afraid I do not buy that. Okay. I think we have discussed this before, Rhiannon. I take your point on the 60mm film. John clearly got that bit wrong. I mean, I think the answers to this whole thing, I think you are going to be proved right or wrong very shortly, because the film, there may be more in the film that's coming out in a week, basically in just under a week, next Thursday. And I've already got my viewing ticket for it, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's very cheap if you want to pick it up like a viewing ticket. Because John was holding a lot back, obviously, because he doesn't want to give spoilers for the film. Now, if we think places like Area 51 exist, it's reasonable that people would want to make a hoax video of a craft or alien, and indeed people have. Many people have. You mentioned the alien autopsy. Well, Colin will have something to say about that, but there's many other examples that are far less famous than the Ray Santilli film. Far less. It's always, obviously we're going to see hoaxes, and we see hoaxes all the time. I was on Facebook just yesterday, and someone had very obviously hoaxed a video of a flying saucer rising out of the sea next to a boat. Very obviously, it was an AI CGI creation. So you're going to see more of them, actually, as special effects. We are already seeing more and more as special effects technology increases. As for the reason people wouldn't want to deal with sound, quite possibly, the alien autopsy was allegedly shot on movie film without a score, without a soundtrack, which was apparently normal at that time. Victor claims that he removed the audio track from the video copy he gave to Rocket Pictures because he said it might identify some people in it. Those are other reasons that might possibly be. But of course, if I was making a hoax video, I probably would go to the effort of working on the sound just to make it more of a selling point. I mean, if you accept that Dr. Jonathan Reed's video is fake, and I don't, but if it's fake, it's very, very dramatic indeed, partly because of the soundtrack, because of his panting and his retching and his gasping and his moaning, because of the distress he's in. Now, if you could have taken that soundtrack off, and obviously, if Dr. Reed faked that video, it's very, very difficult he'd be hyperventilating. You'd have to cut away every 2 minutes to stop him passing out, and those cuts would be very visible, which I think does lend something to the credibility of it. But just imagine. Look, I'll just give you an example here. We are right. Watch this, Rhiannon. Are you watching it? Now, what emotions would go through your soul if you watched that? Okay, now I'm going to play it again.
Come on, work.
Right. So my point is, I would actually make the time. I think I'd take the time and effort to work on the soundtrack there. I think I would do that. Okay. So anyway, what's your next point? What do aliens sound like? Sorry, but all this is utter nonsense. You may think it might have been made with the government's blessing because they want us to think it's real. Why would you think that the government would want us to think an alien video was real? I mean, maybe you take the backslapper line, which, no offense, but maybe you take the backslapper line that, well, it helps distract people from real secret spy planes and stuff like that, which I've explained I don't agree with. But another question I'd like to ask you, maybe we discussed this before, because I know we've discussed this privately. If this is fake, where is the Ray Santilli? Where is the guy who was behind this? Because obviously someone would have to be behind this who could, for example, assemble a cast of characters, because there's at least 5 people in this. It's not like the Alien Interview with just 2. Sorry, the Alien Autopsy with 2. There are at least 5 people in this. All right, so you need a cast of characters who would want an accolade. If they are aspiring thespians, they want that on their CV. You'd have to hire a top special effects model maker, which would be very expensive. A model like that will cost several £100,000 in terms of time, effort, materials, and workings, etc. Because it would need to be animatronic. That person again would want some prestige for what they'd done, and the mastermind behind it would be, well, he would. Where is he? Where's the Ray Santilli from this? Where is the guy sitting back on a pile of cash from the I Fooled the World gravy train? Unlike the Alien Interview, getting mixed up. Unlike the Ray Santilli Alien Autopsy film, the Alien Interview is mute, it is silent, it is isolated, and it is mysterious. And I think if you don't believe this is real, that's a question you have to answer. So I look forward to what you have to say. Okay, and I put up a notice about the duration and complexity, informing that I couldn't do a review of the UFO congressional hearing. And it was really amazing. And Wayne Model Builder says, looking forward to it. Great. Right, Alien Interview again. And it's Steve Mumbling. The very one and only Steve Mumbling. Yes, it is. I hope I'm off screen share now. Yes, I am. Yes. Here, all right, 1956. Okay, we've got a timestamp here from the Mumbler of this particular hoax, this particular event, and as you say, we think it's a real event. I don't know if you've. Oh, you're not going to criticise me over a Freudian slip, are you, Steve? Okay. We go into the details of this particular hoax, quote, unquote. Oh, my goodness. Oh, he is. Okay. Your Freudian slip tells us what you really think. It's a poorly done and very obvious fake. Victor is very obviously Bob Dean, some paunch, same paunch, same mannerisms. Bob likes a striped tie, and Victor is even wearing the Bob Dean necklace shown here. Oh, come on, hang on a minute. What's this? I think I've seen this before.
And only in the last 10 to 15 years have I really begun to.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. That
deeply look.
That is that necklace. I've seen them. That's the one at. Look, I'll show it to you. Oh, for goodness sake, that is the one that was at Blackpool. That's the guy selling them. Do you remember? They were all over the Blackpool event, the Awakening Expo in Blackpool. Hang on. I'll show you it now, Steve. I'll show you it now. Here we go. Streetcar named Stargate. Here we go. Oh, don't tell me they've shadow banned. No, they haven't. Look, I'll show you. It's in the title shot. There, look. Steve, they haven't shadow banned me that bad, all right? This is what he's wearing. It's actually these were found in an Egyptian tomb, and they're said to resemble modern airplanes, delta-winged airplanes. They're archaeologists are more likely to consider them some kind of very surreal depiction of an insect. Either way, that's what Bob was wearing. Victor wasn't wearing one of those. Unless, hang on, I'll just go back and just double check to see if he's wearing it in another shot. Oh, come on.
And only in the last 10 to 15 years have I.
This is an hour.
There are people out in Go Swan.
All right, Steve. Where's Victor? Is Victor's wearing one of those? Okay, right. The same paunch you say. It's a very obvious fake. Is obviously Bob Dean. You don't know that any more than Andrew Burlington knows that it's Gary Schwartz. You don't know that. There's a resemblance. But the voice is very different. I know that because Victor's voice has been demodulated. There's a famous video of his interview on Coast to Coast. It's been completely demodulated. Same paunch. Well, look, I've got a paunch, or at least I had. It'll come back when my detox is over. Same mannerisms again. With what mannerisms? Bob is again in terms of his personality. He's a very genial, sympathetic, empathic kind of guy. Victor is a bad-tempered, suspicious, untrustworthy, and very, very volatile individual. Again, totally different personalities. So what mannerisms are you talking about? Do you remember that this whole body language thing is a pseudoscience in itself? Bob likes a striped tie. Well, how many people in the world wear striped ties, guys? Just two. You can go to the shop and I found some striped ties in the shop. Obviously, what's the point of putting them in the shop if only two people in the world wear them? Yes. So no, again, you've got to answer the same question as Rhiannon. Where's the Ray Santilli? Where's the guy leaning back, chuckling his head off right now, going from TV studio to TV studio, getting as rich as Midas on the I Fooled the World gravy train? Where is that man? What about the others? What about the special effects designer, the model maker, who would have had to put in a lot of effort and would have been paid an awful lot of money to produce that thing? Which it's not like even John Humphrey's alien autopsy sculpture. That was cost about 300 grand, and it took like a year to build. That doesn't even move. This one has to move. It's animatronic. Wouldn't you want that on your CV if you were a special effects designer? Why hasn't he bragged about it at a Hollywood pool party? Why has no one come forward to claim the prestige and the accolades for doing this? I mean, it's a very tight-knit and small community, the special effects Hollywood world, and it would have leaked out by now. What about the other people involved? What about the people playing the doctors and the interviewer and the telepath? Where are they, Steve? This video is not like the alien autopsy. This video is silent, it's mute, it's enigmatic, and it's isolated. And all the investigation that was done into alien autopsy has been done into this, and it has yielded nothing. So no, it's not an obvious hoax at all. And that Freudian slip was nothing of the sort. It was just a slip. Sometimes, as Freud himself said, a cigar is just a cigar. Anyways, I do enjoy your comments, Steve. The Berkshire Roswell, another brilliant video, Ben says, Dark Corners Beyond. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. Steve Mumling said on my duration community notice, Lou, here's an image of a chandelier. Elizondo, Admiral Tim. I know we're interacting with several species of ETs because someone told me to. Gallaudet. Michael, I know we're shooting down ET craft because someone told me. Schellenberger. And Michael, you tell me what the fuck is going on. Gold. What a complete and utter waste of time. Chris Mellon was going along, but he bailed out because he couldn't find an image of the party balloon he showed last time. Wake up, guys. FFS. All right, the party balloon he showed last time was at the TTSA opening hearing, and it was a mistake because it was actually Steve Mehrer who discovered it because it was near where he lived in Eccles, Manchester, Eccles in Greater Manchester. So yeah, that was a mistake. But the others, I think you're unfair about the others. And I explain. Actually, I don't need to explain why you're unfair here because I do so in the video, Steve. So, and by the way, and I think I might have mentioned this in the video, but just in case I didn't, Elizondo apologized for the chandelier reflection. That was wrong. I mean, you can't expect these people. Are these people like idiots or perfect, Steve? Because you expect them to be both. Stephen Garrity says on the same post, a shit sandwich. Well, thank you for not saying a nothing burger because that's become such a cliche. A shit sandwich. What a waste of time. What's the point of talking to people who always say, I can't tell you? More chance of Elvis making a comeback than disclosure. I don't know about that. I think, and Elvis is dead, I'm afraid. I mean, a lot of people don't want to face it because they loved him so much, but nah, he died a lonely, broken, unhealthy young man. He was taking a crap on the bog and he fell and he keeled over and died. No, if he'd faked his own death, it would be something a bit more romantic and less humiliating, wouldn't it? Anyway, right, you're wrong about all this. And again, Stephen, you're taking a typical backslapper line and you're demanding, I want it all, I want it all, I want it all, and I want it now. No, you got to have patience. The very fact they're talking about, I make this point in the video, the fact they're talking about it says everything. Of course they can't tell you everything. Do you expect them to wheel a bloody dead alien into the middle of the Congress Hall? They'd spend the rest of their life in jail or worse. You want miracles from these people. That's what you want. You don't realize what they're going through and what they have to endure and what they've had to go through to get to where they are now and how much they are fighting to be able to say more without ruining their entire lives. For God's sake, get real, Stephen. David Splendid Isolation. Here's my take on the aspect for what it's worth. There is absolutely zero empirical observable evidence for abiogenesis, that idea that life starts on its own when the chemical conditions are right. Absolutely none. It's merely presumed, and presumed as necessary, lest life be intentionally put there. All right, David, I'll pause you for a moment. I'm not an atheist, all right. I believe in a divine force of the universe, which is convenient to call God. But I think the Miller-Urey experiment indicates that abiogenesis is possible. This is not an argument against the existence of God, by the way. It just shows that the universe has an inherent natural creative force, which in a sense reinforces the idea that it has a divine spiritual purpose and consciousness. He continues, but the idea of abiogenesis has been hammered into society for so long that most people take it as gospel, especially as it's officially spoken of as fact. But if it's not true and not even possible, then the entire universe must be teeming with life. Extrapolation totally falls apart and is completely bankrupt. If it's not true, then it actually, I mean, I know what you're making. The flat earthers make a similar point to this. You're saying that this is essentially promoted to prevent people, to keep people in materialism. No, in fact, as I say this to the flat earthers, the opposite is the case. If the universe is teeming with life, it shows how incredibly rich and indeed creative the universe is. And such a creative entity must surely have some kind of intelligence behind it. And the same goes for the flat earthers. If we are a ball spinning through an infinite universe, that's more glorious to God than we're sitting under some dome on some flat plane. He continues. When people encounter these so-called aliens, supposedly from a distant star system, with no connection to the Earth, a totally alien life form, their evolutionary interpretation should mean that they would look nothing like us. But what is reported is the opposite. Their homology is very similar to humanoids and life on Earth. A central head, 2 eyes, nose in the middle, a mouth below, 2 arms, 2 legs, hands, fingers, feet, toes, and torso. All very similar homology. And logically, this is a heavy clue that these entities are somehow connected to us, to the Earth, to life on this planet. Because of those huge similarities, I believe it stands to reason. Right. There are 2 explanations for this. Firstly, parallel development. Now, that would be that 2 creatures growing up or developing, evolving in a very similar habitat would end up looking the same. A good example is vultures. New World vultures and Old World vultures. By that I mean the vultures of Africa, the Middle East, Southeast Asia are not in any way related, apart from the fact they're both birds, so they're from the same they're from the same class, biological class. They have no relation at all to the vultures of North and South America. However, they look remarkably similar, as does a kangaroo's head. It looks very similar to a deer's head, even though a kangaroo is a marsupial and deer is a placental mammal, an ungulate from Europe and Asia. It's because they live in a similar habitat, they evolve into similar forms. It could be that that's why they resemble us. That's one explanation. Another reason, I mean, when you say, their eyes are on the front of their heads, like ours. Well, I know you didn't say this, but you did say central head, 2 eyes. Well, 2 eyes, you would need more than 1 eye, because if you just have 1 eye, you can't see stereoscopically. You can only see monoscopically, which means you can't judge distance. So you'd need more than 1 eye. And why not 2? Why, you obviously maybe more, but 2 is the ideal number, because it's the most efficient, because it's the least number you can and see stereoscopically. Other animals have more eyes. Spiders have 8 eyes. Nose in the middle. Well, a mouth below. Well, it would make sense you would have a nose somewhere near the top of the body facing forward. Your eyes need to face forward too. They wouldn't be much good looking back all the time. Having a mouth close to the sense organs is good, because you need to be able to test food. Again, it makes sense. Most animals we know have mouths similar near their sense organs. As for the 2 arms, 2 legs thing, that could again be explained by parallel development, but I think it's a bit more shaky with parallel development. I think you are actually right, but in a different way than you think. They are somehow connected to us on Earth and life on this planet. I believe that the aliens, at least some of the aliens visiting us, not all, not the mantids and things, but the Nordics and things, and the creatures that look very human-like, they are literally related to us. They've interconnected with us biologically. So I don't agree with you, but you've touched on something very interesting, and I like that. That's a very good comment. Alien Interview Blogger 526 says, it's almost embarrassing to think that some people are convinced that the Alien Interview is authentic. There were school kids doing film studies projects with better production skills in the 1990s than that poor quality garbage. I even personally have seen better produced model greys in the early 1990s, used in raves and laser tag events back in the day. I struggle to believe it is anything other than a homemade hoax. All right. Could you show me some examples? I mean, this is something which is obviously animatronic. In other words, it has machinery inside it to make it move. That's complex and expensive. Because we know that because it's not a marionette. There are no strings hanging down, because otherwise the doctors would interact with it. There's no one controlling it from behind through a glove, because otherwise you'd see them when the background was enhanced. So it's animatronic. Weren't kids in the 1990s producing animatronic dolls? Were they? I don't think so. I mean, for example, producing an animatronic puppet is really, really difficult. I'll just put here. Let me just see. Here we go. I've got. I may be able to find an example here. I don't know if I can or not. Here we go. The mini series. Let's have a look. No, I can't. I'm looking for the making of it. Something called Chimera, which is a very good. Here we are. Making of a monster. Just have a look at this.
I'm Stephen Gallagher. I scripted the 4-hour mini-series Chimera.
Okay, we go.
And
look at this.
Who held it for
These are the people making
Franglia on the left. She's talking.
I watched this. It was actually very good. I've read the book.
To Nick Jalot.
Right.
The designer. Little John gathered together.
That's why he's got an ear chipped off. And discuss this and flush around there. And just so it all looks wire going across the
head. Controlled head. Used where we and then multiple cast sealed spot for the camera to look. Hands
you don't
and
need to see
forearms
much of this.
For a photo shoot with a man from the TV. A film involving APAC in a cage with a fully grown chimpanzee, and he'd been wearing an. The tour was over and everyone was dispersed.
Okay, you don't need to see any more to get my point. It's not something school kids could do. This is an expert takes months to create these sorts of things. It's very, very expensive to do it. So I think you're wrong. Your reasons for thinking it's not authentic don't make any sense to me at all. Same video. Big Dangerous Dan, could you do a video about the fairies at the bottom of my garden, pal? I'm sure I nearly saw them once. Well, if you don't mind me popping round, and if you've got reason to think they're there, yeah. I mean, I made a video long ago about the fairies in my brother's garden. He's moved from that house now, actually. Oh, and we have someone, Q33NNITR. This is on Into the Triangle, who says here, poor Jasper the dog. Yeah. This refers to a dog who disappeared one night when the aliens were present. And when he came back, he came back in the morning, but obviously he'd had a horrific experience, and his personality was never the same again. He was totally traumatized. I believe that dog was abducted by the aliens. Of course, he can't tell us, but yeah, he was never the same again. He wouldn't go out on his own. He was nervous. He wouldn't leave the house, things like that. Yeah, the aliens, you must expect aliens to abduct other species. They're not just going to be interested in we humans. UFO Disclosure 2024, US congressional hearing. First, says Crafty Nihilist. Well done, Crafty. Taft Derek Baker. Immaculate constipation, word salad. Oh, man. Neil Peel. Didn't see one photo or video clip. How do we expect people to believe it? They did at least show a few film clips, including a new one, the one with old Donkey and Conkerhead, Moultrie and Bray. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if we'd had a bit more demonstration. Of course, there was a demonstration in the Senate hearing, and that was bloody useless, wasn't it? But I mean, I think that's not a reason not to believe them. Neil, why do you think Stephen Greer hasn't been invited to testify? After all, he set up a very similar Senate hearing at the disclosure hearings in 2001. No, the hearing he set up was a press conference at the National Press Club. There were no official government. It was not an official government hearing. Why wasn't he invited to testify? Well, I'm tempted to say that no one paid him enough money. I'm also tempted to say that he wasn't allowed to strut around with his tight shirt showing off his muscles. I'm also tempted to say that he wasn't going to be allowed to keep up a 1-hour monologue with everyone else looking at him with adoration on their faces. There may be other reasons I'm not aware of, but those are the first that spring to mind. Same video, Neil Peel. I'd like to get Luna in a skiff and do an uncontrolled disclosure. Ooh, I won't tell Monica. Tor Engen. And not forget she had been a bikini model for Sports Illustrated. All right. Yeah, she is, Neil says, best looking senator ever. Well, I don't know. I think I like the sort of more natural sort of older ladies myself, but Kirsten Gillibrand used to be good looking, but she's really gone downhill. I think she looks like she's lost a lot of weight and she's like dried up a bit. I mean, I don't know what's happened to her. Maybe she was ill. I don't know. Tor Engen says, search for Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna speaks out after years-old footage of MAGA swimsuit goes viral. Oh, I've seen that, yeah. She wore a MAGA swimsuit. Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that, yeah. Nothing as it seems. 3 hours, 52 minutes later. Laugh. All right, yeah. Well, I had to cover an awful lot, didn't I? I mean, and DJ B2 says, lucky 7th. Well done, DJ. I don't know what medal you get for that or what colour tinfoil hat. Same video, original Dwarn Boy. Great insight, but I play your video at 1.5 times speed, which means I'm hearing the Congress speakers at ×3, which is like listening to Pinky and Perky on acid. Oh, yeah, I know. This is a problem with the Steve mumbling video, wasn't it? Because I had to get through all Steve mumbling stuff. Same video, Rhiannon Raven. That's very funny. Rhiannon says, if aliens landed in all of the major cities of the world and offered incontrovertible proof that they were behind the pyramids, the wonders of the world, and all the major figureheads of the world's religions, Jesus, Buddha, etc., had been created and sent by them, how would the world react? And would this be the end of religion and or civilization as we know it? Well, I think we would adjust. Religions would adjust. I mean, religions have adapted to other world-changing events, such as, I mean, they survived the blow dealt by Charles Darwin, and they eventually, worked out evolution was right. But if they can survive that, they can survive anything. As for civilization would change beyond all recognition. I mean, in the case of an active alien landing, very much so. But even disclosure, disclosure is not actually an active change in the alien's behavior. It might trigger one, which is what people are scared of, I think. But even that might actually would cause changes. I'm sure I've talked about a lot, but it wouldn't be the end of civilization. It might even be the beginning of a new one. Oh, we got the Skeptic Canary. All right, this is interesting. This is on QED Conference 2024. I saw this this is a good comment. Just finished watching the whole thing. Thank you for making this. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. As you could probably tell from my username, I'm a skeptic. I've been to every single QED. All right, I never saw you there, but if I go again, come over and say hello. I love meeting people who have different opinions to myself. We had an evangelical Christian show up at a social a few months ago, and those that talked to him were very interested to hear what he had to say. If I'd bumped into you when you were there, I'd have bought you a pint. I don't care what people believe, so long as we're all civil, and you yourself know, don't be a dick. Yes, to quote Phil Plait. Thing is, there really doesn't have to be an us versus them mentality of believers versus skeptics. Just one of the reasons I don't like uncanny skepticism is a way of looking at things and reaching conclusions. It isn't a prescribed set of beliefs. Well, I'm not so sure about that, Skeptic Canary, but I'll leave that aside for another time. As you say, it's important to know what the other side thinks. I don't think I've ever sat through a 4-hour video featuring someone who I think is wrong on almost everything before. You were very engaging. Having said that, I'm 99% sure that there was a picture of Sinead O'Connor on Robin Ince's t-shirt. I'll be sure to watch some other videos if I need your views on other issues. Also, I should say that I'm not the only skeptic who's fascinated by your video, in a good way, of course. So if you do decide to come to the next QED, assuming there is one, you will be recognized and welcomed with open arms. Oh, that is lovely. Thank you very much, Skeptic Canary. That's exactly the attitude I was hoping people would have. I really do. I'll just check out your channel here. I'll give you a plug for your channel. Because like you, I mean, as I said, I don't care about you. Tom Williamson. Okay, all right. You got like a. Have I seen you before? I don't know. Oh, please, Deepak Chopra. All right, here we go. Oh, I see. I'll give you a sub there. Here you go. Oh, cool. Thanks. Thanks, Tom. That's much appreciated. You know, that's exactly the kind of I was hoping I'd get. I mean, obviously, skeptics. There's many different ones that react very differently to me. Some are less accommodating than you are. But you're probably the nicest skeptic I've come across. And you know, like you said, as long as we're all civil, we don't have to agree on everything. There's no one I completely agree on with everything. No doubt you could watch, if you watch some more of my videos, you'll find a lot more that you don't think I'm right on. You know, as you see from the other, you're not the only skeptic who comments on my videos. I'm quite happy to engage you in a rational debate if you want to have one on any point you want. So thank you very much for that excellent comment. And yeah, if I go again, I'll be sure to look you up. I did see a few people I knew there, as you saw, and indeed I've been recognised at some skeptics in the pub events, and you know most people are perfectly okay with me. I have the trolls, of course, who are skeptics, but you know they're I think you'd think them as big a dicks as I do. So thanks very much, Tom, Skeptic Canary. And we move on to Ben Goes on Tour 2023 Part 2 of 2. Oh, it's a great one, this one. I love this video. Surely, if what you're saying is right, and it's not a puppet, if Gray's eyes are bigger because they're affected by lights and how bright the Earth is, you give the explanation that their sun is smaller or further away or duller, whatever, surely the movement would be completely different because the gravity pull would be completely different here on Earth to their home planet. Well, hang on, this is a bit of a word salad here. It's not a puppet. If Gray's eyes are bigger because they're affected, by light, meaning there's less light in their ambient environment. It doesn't mean that their sun is smaller or further away. It could just mean that their atmosphere is full of vapor or fume, which means less sunlight reaches the Earth's surface, their planet's surface. The gravity pull would be completely different here on Earth than their home planet. The light build of some of them indicates they come from a habitat with a lower gravitational field. How that means they manage to stay upright on our planet, I don't know. Maybe they adapt themselves, I don't know. I'm afraid I don't completely understand what point you're making here, because if the Gray's eyes are, how bright if I'm right, it's not a puppet. If Gray's eyes are bigger because they're affected by light and how bright the Earth is, you give the explanation that their sun is smaller or further away or duller. That's one explanation, along with, as I said, their atmosphere being denser or full of fume. Whatever, surely the movement would be completely different. Their movement would be different. Yeah, the way we move has got a lot to do with the way our gravitational field. Yeah, I personally don't believe I've ever seen a film of someone on another world. A lot of people believe the Apollo astronauts were on another world. I don't, but of course if they are acting in ways that they would if it was a smaller gravitational field. Steve Mumling says on the disclosure hearing, Trump has said on at least 2 TV programs that he personally doesn't believe in aliens. He said yes, not particularly. He said on one of them. Okay, he's made comments saying that he doesn't. However, I've heard him, he seems to be a little bit, I would say, he seems to be slightly uncertain even at those moments. He's not as decisive or as articulate as he normally is, indicating he's being slightly cagey about the whole thing. Anyway, believe it or not, that's the end of the 3rd hour, and we're going to have to go on to the 4th one. And there's only a few more comments left, so here we go. I'll go on for the next hour. Okay, we're back for hour number 4, and I say hour number 4, but really, it's not going to be the whole hour. It's not going to be quite that long. But yeah, this has been longer than my average recent reply to comments videos, which is fine. I've got the all tech ones to do next, but I might not do those straight away. I might have a little break, but we'll carry on anyway. We've got a few more comments, just a handful of comments more left. Alien interview. We got someone called Maruchuchi Lacing. I think I pronounced that right. Regardless of the Kisslux, don't know what that is. There's a YouTube logo on either side of that word. Regardless of the Kisslux bag or any other factors, I ardently hold that without proper expertise, one would fail to distinguish variations in the sack's appearance or metal parts. I don't know what you mean, Marcucil leasing. I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. Is that part of the? Was that a part of the original documentary? I'll have to rewatch it. I watched it before I interviewed John. I'll have to watch it again. Right, the Apollo detectives. See, I do have my own version of this. This is the first one as well. The first one I ever did. This duffer. This is from someone called Tanish Kulkarni. All right. And as their avatar is actually a picture of an Apollo astronaut on allegedly the moon. This duffer lacks knowledge, just knows how to burp big technical words to make himself sound knowledgeable and poisoning the mind of young people. Oh, poison me like Socrates. I mean, with such dominant proofs that NASA did go to the moon, explained scientifically, a word probably not in his vocabulary, he still persists. God, such an idiot. All right, then. All right, I'll tell you what, Tanish, right? You lack knowledge and you just know how to burp big technical words to make yourself sound knowledgeable. And you poison the mind of young people because with such dominant proofs that 2 + 2 = 5, explained scientifically, a word probably not in your vocabulary, you still persist that 2 + 2 = 4. God, such an idiot. There, I've just demonstrated that 2 + 2 = 5 in true Orwellian style. There you go, Tanish. You use an ad hominem. If you use an ad hominem against me, I use an ad hominem against you. People say, well, what was it Christopher Hitchens said? Your great skepper atheist buddy. What is asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. All right, finally, US UFO hearings. Madison Davis says, thank you so much for this amazing video. I have a quick question. I have a SafePal wallet with USDT and have some seed phrase, brackets, alarm, fetch, churn, bridge, exercise tape, speak, race, class, counter, crater, letter, I'll break those brackets. Could you explain how to move them to Binance? Madison, I think you set your autocorrect at too high a level. I've got no idea what you're talking about. I think you're trying to say something else, but you didn't look at your comment before you posted it. I'm not going to do a Stefan Molyneux and berate you for it, but you know, you may just read it. You repeat the comment again, but read through what you're posting, and I'll be able to understand you, and I'll reply to you in the next reply to comments video. But I'm glad you enjoyed that video. Thank you very much. Right, so I'm just going to go back to. I'm just going to go back to the reply. I'm just going to go back to YouTube. I've been watching Maya. Apparently, there's an explosion at the US Embassy. I've looked at the news. It's actually nothing major. It's just down here. 2 detained over Gatwick Airport suspect package. There's nothing about any embassy thing here. But anyway, we'll find out more later. But anyway, these things do sometimes happen when you're in the middle of doing a YouTube video or doing my own YouTube video. But anyway, where are we now? I'll watch the rest of that later. Let's just go to my notifications. I'm just going to look at the comments that have been posted between when I started making the video and now, so I don't miss any. All right. Oh, Red Snapper says, amended that the spelling I put for glutton was wrong. I put glutton for punishment. I know I made a big joke about the gluten thing. I mean, do you suffer from celiacs? So I made a bit. So you gave me the chance to have a bit of humor there, mate. So I don't mind. Okay, so we go back down here. Go back down here. Basis project. Okay, 6 hours ago. Okay, so there's no more. Right, so that's it. Okay, so that brings me to the end of this reply to comments video, number 101. No, sorry, no, 103. No, it's not. It's 104. Blimey, I'm doing more progress than I thought. Yeah, so I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's left some comments. There's been some right crackers this week. You know, they've been really, really good. And even some of the rude ones were quite funny and gave me the chance to deliver a few retaliatory kind of like rejoinders, very witty ones at that, if I do say so myself. This is not, of course, the end of reply to comments 104. This is just the end of the YouTube segment of it. There will, of course, be the Alt-Tech Annex coming up soon. To be honest, it's now gone 7 o'clock. I might actually just do the Alt-Tech Annex tomorrow, if you don't mind. Or I'm certainly going to take a break and have something to eat and maybe do it late tonight and let it process over. I'm going to do the editing, and I'm going to do the uploading to get this one done tonight first. So I'll make sure this is up as soon as possible. Okay. And if I start now, I'll be able to get it done before midnight. So, but you may have noticed I was sort of anticipated that I might need a bit longer to edit and process and stuff and upload. So you may have noticed I've post-dated the date in the thumbnail and the title screen for this particular video. It says the 23rd, which is tomorrow, rather than today, which is the 22nd. So just in case, it probably actually may well not even be visible before midnight, so it will be accurate. In the meantime, obviously it's self-explanatory. You know, this video wouldn't happen if you didn't comment. So I'm eternally grateful to all of you for making this video happen, because I couldn't do it on my own. So thank you very much for all that. You know, some of you put a lot of time and effort into your comments, and that is very much appreciated by me. I promise you. There's more coming soon. I'm going to do a follow-up to the Signal from Space video, as well as I'm going to do a bit of field research in a couple of weeks as well, but I can't tell you anything yet. Let me be furtive. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.
Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids, psyops, saucers and black triangles, HPANWO.